Winning a couple against the Yankees, so maybe get a turn back around. They'll do it with the lefty Dallas Keuchel on the hill.
Well, Dallas in the first half of the season was able to put up pretty decent numbers last year and then won this job in the rotation this spring.
He also pitched well against the Angels last year. The numbers indicate that. 2-0 in 3 starts and allowed far less hits than innings pitched. He was sharp in those games, and when he is sharp, it usually means down around the knees, on the corners, changing speeds, has a very good changeup, and that curveball a big part of things. So Dallas Keuchel would love to be able to go out and match what he did against the Angels a year ago. Last year, that first half a bit different than the second.
4-5 with a 4.62. Then when the Astros really had a lot of problems in that second half, 2-5 with a 5.91. So perhaps the entire team's inadequacies affecting his numbers. And his mound opponent tonight will be a young lefty, Tyler Skaggs, in the Angels rotation.
Guy that throws similar to what Dallas Keuchel does. 7 starts last year, just his 14th tonight on the Major League career. And you can see when he's down, he's quite effective. Slow curveball in the repertoire. He will miss the spots. It enables hitters to go deep on occasions, a little more than he would like to give up over the course of the year. And the walks, something he would like to bring down as well.
Coming up next, AT HOU is in the lineup. He has had an early home run outbreak, and Julia Morales has more on him.
The Angels in a 4-game set. This is the second game, and lefty Tyler Skaggs will be on the mound for the Angels facing the Astros. And with the Astros platoon situations, this means that we will see AT HOU back in the lineup. We haven't seen him since opening day against the Yankees, where he was 1 for 2, drawing a walk and hitting that home run that tied his home run total from 2013. A big day for him, and then he said it was tough that he had to watch the next 3 from the dugout, but that's the position he is in, and that's what the Astros need for him to do right now. They also need him to be very consistent, which is what he's been throughout his pro ball career. If you look at his numbers from 2011 to 2013 there, he came up with the Baltimore Orioles, plate appearances right about the same there, so checking out the batting average and OBP, they're very, very close, even getting a little bit better as the year went on. So the Astros know what they are getting from him. And then last year, when the Astros did get him midway through the year, he came in that Bud Norris trade, obviously. He finished with a .287 batting average, 24 runs scored in 46 games. And to be honest, he was one of the, if not the best hitter for the Astros to end this season. So he knows he always has room for improvement. And we talked to him a little bit today about that. And as the game goes on, we'll talk about where exactly he's looking to improve his game right now. All right, coming up, the Astros hosting some legends in the house tonight. A very special day for Roy Oswalt, Lance Berkman retiring as Astros, and we are going to have much, much more on this. Stay with us.
First pitch coming in a moment from Dallas Keuchel. And he throws. It is strike one call. Eric Cooper's the home plate umpire. The leadoff man is Colin Cowgill. He came in and played outfield late in last night's 11-1 Angels win, but has not had an at-bat yet this season. Cowgill looks at that one. And it's caught by Carlos Corcoran just off the plate for a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Jason Castro getting a little more rest on that injured right foot and ankle from being hit by a pitch. Michael works quickly, and it's a strike to make it 1-2. Dexter Fowler remains out of the lineup for Houston. We'll show you the Astros lineup, of course, as they come up in the bottom of the first inning, but he is still sidelined by some stomach problems, gastroenteritis, and was still in the hospital this morning, expected to be released soon, if not by now. So we're not sure that he would be able to play tomorrow with an afternoon game coming quickly on the heels of this one. Probably not. Jose Altuve's up the middle as Cowgill takes that pitch off the plate. It's 2-2. We saw the numbers on Dallas Keuchel as you talked about him earlier, Ash. He pitched one really good game beating the Angels last year in late May, giving up 2 runs in 7 innings. It's tapped and first baseman comes over. Carter. Chris gets it to Dallas Keuchel, and it's out number 1. Starting lineup for the Angels begins with Colin Cowgill in right field. Then it's Mike Trout in center. Albert Pujols at first base. David Freese the DH. Josh Hamilton in left field. Howie Kendrick at second. Chris Iannetta the catcher. Eric Ibar at shortstop. John McDonald at third base.
That scouting report on left-hander Dallas Keuchel. You can see the spike curve right there. He's got a good two-seam fastball, spots it well on the corners. He's had a couple already. Good changeup. That can be a key pitch for him. Needs to work on that command as well. Needs to be really good at his velocity, and changing speeds can certainly be a key to helping him out on the right-handers.
Now Mike Trout, he crushed a home run last night. Strike one to Trout. He has sizzled through the first 4 games, 6 for 14, 2 homers, 5 runs batted in for Trout. Second in the MVP voting each of the last 2 years. Fights that one off. It's no balls, 2 strikes to Trout. Batting second this year in Mike Scioscia's plan to get him up ahead of Albert Pujols, Josh Hamilton. David Freese is between Pujols and Hamilton tonight in the number 4 spot in the lineup against lefty Keuchel. It's a 1-ball, 2-strike count.
You can see some effort by Dallas Keuchel trying to work in, whether it be with the fastball or the slider on the right-hand hitters. Big key, because when you don't throw overly hard, hitters will start leaning out over the plate.
Dallas 6-10 last season. He's 26 years old from Tulsa. In tight. It's 2-2 to Trout. Trout led the league in walks last year with 110. He's just an all-around threat. If he gets on base the way he runs, threat to score, threat to steal a base, threat defensively, power. 3-2 now to Trout. Trout reached base last year in 94% of the games he played. And he chases that one out of play.
He's played 2 years in the American League, has Mike Trout, and twice he has led the league in runs scored. And with 129 scored in 2012, he did it in just 139 games. Didn't get called up to the Angels until late April.
And he fouls back to 3-2.
Get an idea about that swing, why he's able to compile the type of numbers he does. Great batting average, on base percentage, slugging with the home run power. He is the complete package as a baseball player.
Very quick bat, but he also stays on the off-speed pitches. It's tough to finish off. Ground ball up the middle. His shift is on. Backhanded. Altuve throwing and not in time. VR crossed in front of Altuve, and that meant a very difficult throw for Altuve. Probably would not have prevented the infield single by Trout, even without that little brush.
It's so difficult as you try to take advantage of the tendencies of hitters. This ground ball likely to be right there for a shortstop in normal positioning. But as you try to move where all the charts show, and that's exactly what the Astros and other clubs do, you get crossed up just a bit, and that speed will take advantage.
Well, there's VR, and the same type shift is on for Albert Pujols. 176 for Pujols with 1 RBI. He's 1 RBI shy of 1,500 for his career now. Albert 1 for 5 last night. Ground ball short. VR, Altuve. Altuve up and over to Carter. And the double play ends the first inning. No runs, a hit, nobody left. Keuchel with a 0. The Astros up in a moment. Astros baseball is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Try the new Bacon Insider at Jack in the Box. It's got bacon mixed right into the patty at participating restaurants. The Angels fail to score. The Astros getting the double play ball. Now the Astros come up with this starting lineup for Bo Porter. Brought to you by Jack in the Box. Jonathan VR is the leadoff man in the absence of Dexter Fowler. He's at shortstop. Robbie Grossman in center field tonight. Jose Altuve is at second base. The cleanup man is left fielder Jesus Guzman, with Chris Carter at first base, Matt Dominguez the DH, AT HOU in right field, Carlos Corporate the catcher, Marwin Gonzalez batting ninth at third base.
Left-hander Tyler Skaggs on the hill for the Angels. He's a 22-year-old, made 7 starts for the Halos a year ago. 14 now as he makes the first pitch tonight over his career. And the numbers are not bad from what he was able to do against left and right-hand hitters last year. The ERA, however, jumping up to 5.12. Walks and home runs allowed, probably an issue.
Well, the Astros would like to make that an issue. Switch hitters in the top 2 spots in the lineup. Jonathan VR leading it off, the shortstop with a .300 batting average. And a pair of doubles for Jonathan VR. Third baseman John McDonald is in tight. And this one goes in the air behind the plate. Coming back for it, Chris Iannetta. And it's a foul, strike one for VR. VR got a hit in his only at bat in last night's game.
See VR first pitch swinging. The Astros have done pretty well in that sense early on this year. In fact, even if they don't get a hit as they take that first swing, when they have swung at the first pitch, they've actually been quite good.
VR bounces one back to Skaggs, who turns it into out number 1.
Defensively for the Angels tonight, behind their young left-hander, will start in the outfield, left to right. Josh Hamilton, Mike Trout, and Colin Cowgill in the outfield. Around the infield on the left side, new look tonight, John McDonald at third base. He can really play with the glove. Eric Ibar, Howie Kendrick, and Albert Pujols on the right side, and Chris Iannetta does the catching.
Robbie Grossman steps up, playing center field tonight. Robbie's hitting 143 in the early going. 0 for 4 last night. And he played right field, so he's played all 3 outfield positions already this year. Ball going to Robbie. That one's to right field. Cowgill over. 2 outs for Tyler Skaggs. One of the newcomers in this Angels revamped 5-man pitching rotation this year. Richards started last night for the Halos. He went 5 innings, giving up 1 run in the 11-1 win, which was the Angels' first win of the year. They're 1-3. The Astros are 2-2. Jose Altuve bats now, and check out the orange socks on him.
I imagine the other guys are wearing them. You just can't tell the way they wear the uniform, but it's pretty stylish. Looks like the old Colt 45 look going on.
It does. Jose has great numbers for the first 4 games. Skaggs brings it in at 94, and there's strike 1. This is Guzman on deck. The Astros had a couple of really good first innings in the Yankees series. They got 4 in the first on opening night. It's chopped slowly to third. McDonald playing it, throwing on the run. It comes up short, safe at first. Pujols trying to come off the bag and get a call. And Altuve reaches with 2 outs.
This is good speed going down the line. Jose Altuve had to go hard. Mike Scioscia, no doubt, buying some time now to see if a challenge might be in the offing. What if the managers take a look at an Albert Pujols in this case, and you can see with that 2-hopper, John McDonald very quick with the release, doesn't have a strong arm, but just hustling and utilizing speed down the line. And Altuve, wow, that's very close. I don't know that you can overturn that one way or the other.
Well, he might have had the tip of his spike on the bag as the ball is bouncing there, but there will be other angles that will be reviewed in New York. Really close.
That is just about as close to bang bang as you'll get.
Apparently it was not challenged. Scioscia went out, but there was no replay for the decision. And now it's Jesus Guzman, who homered in his first at bat on the first pitch thrown to him as an Astro. Lefty CC Sabathia. When you think about probabilities here, what are the chances of a run scoring with 2 outs and a runner at first? Do you want to use your challenge, Mike Scioscia, in that situation in the first inning when you only have 1 challenge in the first 6 innings? Unless you're correct, then you get a second.
Of course, I guess you might also factor in what you're told from the bench. What exactly did they see on the replay monitors? But you're right. I mean, even if you are right and you get extended another challenge throughout the course of the first 6 innings, has that 1 spent been worth it at that point of the game?
If there's nobody out, totally different story.
That was intriguing, seeing Scioscia flash out number signs. Never seen a manager do that.
I missed that, Ash.
You look like a catcher with the fingers upward, though, throwing out kind of a series of numbers. And it looks like his catcher, Iannetta, is glancing over, and maybe with that series of numbers, there's an indication as to what a pitch might be. I would doubt that he would call pitches, though.
Altuve takes off. Here's the throw, and it's not in time. Iannetta put a strong throw out to Howie Kendrick. Altuve beats it for his 3rd steal in as many tries.
Yeah, that's just picking it up on your own. Altuve continuing that very fine start to his season. I don't know if you think of Altuve as a burner, but he got down the line extremely well, stealing bags, something he did again very well last year.
Well, he was just safe at first, just safe at second after going with 35 and 48 tries last year for 73%. And the pitch was a ball. Now it's a 2-ball, 1-strike count. So Guzman. Guzman has a homer and 4 runs batted in 5 career at bats against Tyler Skaggs. He's the only Astro in the lineup tonight who has faced Skaggs. Skaggs is from Woodlands, California. Supplemental pick after the first round by the Angels in 2009. Then he was traded to Arizona, and then they got him back in another trade last December. That's up for ball 3. He was involved in that big deal with Hector Santiago also coming. So those 2 guys entering the Angel rotation after being obtained in that 3-way trade. Mark Trumbo went the other way to Arizona in that deal. So the Angels had to give up a strong right-handed power hitter to get the pitching. In the air and foul. Albert Pujols digging over for it. So is Iannetta, and it's just out of Pujols' reach. Those are the deals involving Tyler Skaggs.
Yeah, that 40th pick overall. That's a first rounder. You just tell people, well, I was a first rounder, but you don't tell them you were 40th in that first round. But yeah, some of the names involved in the deal coming up with the D-backs. Now, if you're involved along with Dan Herron in a deal, that's a pretty good trade.
3-2 with 2 outs. Chris Carter on deck. That's a line drive, not caught by McDonald. It's on through, and that will allow Altuve to score. Too hot for McDonald to hold it, and the Astros lead it 1-0. The ball flew off the bat of Guzman and got to McDonald very quickly.
Yeah, that's really stinging it for Guzman. And to your question about do you challenge in the first inning when you get a 2-out infield single, it has now turned into at least 1 run, and that ball should be caught. And I said John McDonald's a great defensive player. This does not prove that point, but I've watched him through the years. He is something special.
It's ruled a hit and an RBI for Guzman. Guzman's 3rd RBI of the young season. And Chris Carter's the batter now. Altuve hustles his way into a run. It's ball 1.
Yeah, I don't know what Mike Scioscia heard from his bench. Challenge it, don't challenge it. And whether he was thinking, as you were proposing there, that maybe not a good time to spend a challenge, but right now, if he had gotten any indication that they might have gotten an out call, and I don't think that was the case, you'd probably be kicking yourself a bit.
Yes. 1-1. But you had the real thought behind a challenge, and that is if the manager gets word from the video room that there is no doubt that the call was wrong, then that's when he'll challenge.
You know, when Earl Weaver and Ralph Houck used to come out and kick dirt, and Lou Piniella and do all the things they didn't have a video guy telling them when to kick that dirt.
Appeal went down to first. Check swing there for Carter, and a 2-1 count for Chris. Chris had a really good swing on that double last night to left center field in the 6th inning. He also drew a couple of walks. He's a .286 lifetime hitter against the Halos with 8 homers, 20 runs batted in. Dominguez on deck. Strike makes it 2-2. This is the second of 19 meetings between these two. Angels have won 8 and lost 5. Down through the years they've come to Minute Maid Park. The overall series tied at 13 games each between the two. Carter went and struck out. In the first, it's a run on 2 hits, and the Astros with Roy Oswalt and Lance Berkman headed our way, lead it 1-0.
I won't forget that anytime soon. Well, guys, retirement is not all it's cracked up to be, but there are a few things you'll need. First, you'll need one of these. You'll need a couple of these. And of course, knowing you guys, you'll need a few of these guys. Well, guys, there you have it. I'm going to raise my glass and give a toast to you both. Congratulations on amazing careers, and God bless both of you.
Brad Lidge for our guests up here in the booth. We had a leadoff single there by David Freese. It's the Astros 1, the Angels nothing, as we're joined by Lance Berkman and Roy Oswalt, 2 longtime teammates, both signing one-day contracts for absolutely no money to retire with the extra. And congratulations.
That was Roy's fault.
Appreciate it.
Yeah?
He negotiated.
We didn't negotiate very well.
Well, it's a thrill for everybody to see you guys again. And I knew if we hung around long enough, we'd get you up here to the booth. It took a few years. But great to see you guys as Josh Hamilton bats and your teammates. Well, you didn't have any teammates who are still here from your years, but the Astros team was down there in the room when you had the press conference, and that doesn't happen every day. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
I think they made him go in there.
There was a fine if they didn't show.
Yeah, exactly. So
Well, Lance, we know you're doing some coaching now at Second Baptist, and you had the team out here tonight for the ceremony. And Roy, bring us up to date on your career now.
Well, ain't a whole lot going on right now. I've been doing some flying. Trying to get. I actually have a pilot license. I'm trying to go a little further and maybe fly some jets one day.
Wow.
Well, interesting.
So would you fly with this guy, Lance?
Heck no. Are you kidding me? There's no way. Oh, goodness.
Well,
I'm kind of a nervous flyer anyway, and for sure, I mean, he's going to have another 100,000 hours before I'd even think about getting in there with him.
Roy, there were some stories told about that flight to St. Louis in 05 for that final playoff game, which you won after the Albert Pujols home run here that gave the Cardinals the lead and extended that series. And one story I heard was that Brad Ausmus put the pilot up to making the announcement that out the left wing was a baseball headed their way, and that was the one hit by Pujols. Any credibility to that at all?
Yeah, Brad actually had asked a couple of us about it, that he was going to try to liven up the guys on the flight. So he told me about what he was planning, and I don't know, probably 3 or 4 minutes into the flight, the captain came on and said, if you look out your right window, you'll see a ball in orbit to the right. Pujols hit last night. So it kind of livened everybody up. Everybody kind of laughed about it and made it for a little better trip.
Howie Kendrick, the batter. But Lance, that was such a magical year. Your grand slam in that 18-inning playoff game against the Braves, a big part of it. There's a deep drive by Kendrick out to left center field, and that one bangs off the wall. And the Angels are going to try to score the go-ahead to the tying run here as Freese comes to the plate, and the throw, and Corcoran couldn't hold it. It's a 1-1 game as they got Freese home.
What happened to that new rule where you couldn't block the plate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is an interesting test.
Looks like we're making a discussion. Nope.
You're safe anyway.
Well, isn't the key to TV like not saying what's going on because everybody can see it?
So, yeah, we're over talking, aren't we?
I think while we were telling stories, everybody that was there could see what was going on.
Yeah.
Is that right or not? This is my first time on.
You are correct, sir.
Okay.
Now, that was kind of a tough throw for him to handle, Roy.
Yeah.
And, yeah, the new rules, we're still figuring this out, guys. Especially what to challenge and when to challenge.
Now, do they actually have a flag that they can throw out on the field, or how does this thing work?
No, there's not a flag. They just come out and tell the umpires they're going to challenge it. But, we're talking about the play on Altuve. The probabilities of scoring from runner at first and 2 outs in the inning are pretty small. And so you're not going to challenge it unless you're sure that you're going to be right. But it worked out for the Astros. So,
well, I think you can build some morale in for your players if you challenge.
Well, you're right, and that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
You got to stand up for your guy,
right? And I think if he's 1 for 1 instead of 0 for 1, he feels better about himself, and maybe later in the game he's a little more confident and swings the bat better in a big situation.
You bet, you bet. Ionetta batting with a 1-1 count. Now, if they had replay, how many more hits do you think you could have had, Lance?
I mean, there's no telling.
Probably been a lot of minuses in it.
I guarantee I'd have had one more 3-run home run though, because I hit one against one. What was that guy's name that used to wiggle his arm all the time? Astacio.
Oh
yeah. I hit one against him in Colorado that was fair by at least 10 feet. 3-run homer. Guy called it foul. Next pitch, I popped it up foul to third. Anyway, so I probably would have had at least one more hit.
Yeah. And Roy, you talked earlier, but for the benefit of our audience, when you pitched that Game 6 there in St. Louis in 05, and after the loss to the Cardinals here and the rough time Pujols gave Brad Lidge, and you went out there and pitched that big game to send the Astros to their World Series in 05 with the White Sox. You had a little bit on the line there. You had some equipment you could win. You talked to Drayton before the game. How did you feel when you took them out for that game?
I did a lot better negotiation then than I did today on the contract, Lance.
You could have at least gotten us like a garden hoe or something.
Maybe a backhoe or something.
I mean, just anything. Like
a shovel.
Yeah. I mean.
There it is. You came out. What was your percentage of fastballs early in that game, you think?
I'm going to say I probably threw 85-90% fastballs. I might have threw more than that. I had real good carry on the ball that night, and it just seemed like I could almost throw it where I wanted to, and everything just kind of clicked into place.
Special time, special team. And Lance, of course, growing up in New Braunfels, becoming a switch hitter, and then going to Rice, having followed some Astros baseball along the way, and then you became a part of that big first World Series team. That was the pinnacle of a lot of years of work by a lot of people, wasn't it, Lance?
Oh, sure. I mean, and the thing about that team that made it so great wasn't just the success that we had on the field. It was the guys in the clubhouse. I mean, that was a special group, top to bottom, really. I mean, it was a lot of fun to come to the ballpark every day, a lot of fun to compete with those guys. And as you can tell, we still have camaraderie all these years later. You hear from some of our former teammates and these nice video tributes, and you can tell that guys like Brad Lidge and Brad Osmus are a lot of fun to play with.
Did you see Brad Osmus becoming a manager someday, Roy?
I did. From the first day I came into the big leagues, he was pretty much a manager on the field anyway.
Yeah.
And I think it suits Brad well.
Eric Ibar, the batter.
So, Bronny, I feel like that I'm getting the hang of this. We talk about the game when we don't have anything else to talk about.
Well, you're catching on very, very quickly.
So as long as we got a good story going, the people at home can figure it out for themselves.
We talk about anything, licorice, you name it, anything you want to bring up.
But then when the going gets tough, we revert to talking about first and second, 1 out, 1-0 count.
He's a natural
I got
for
you.
this.
Okay.
He's all over it. Well, where does the grand slam in that 18-inning game against the Braves rank?
I mean, that's high up on the list. Anytime you can hit a home run or a meaningful home run in the postseason game. I think that's the one and only, too, huh? Grand slam?
Yeah.
In the postseason?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I had several in the regular season. But, yeah, no, that was cool because that was a game where I remember very distinctly actually Adam LaRoche had hit a grand slam previously in that game for them, and they put them up big. And I was thinking, well, we're going to go back to Atlanta, and you kind of already start thinking about who's pitching for us, who's pitching for them, and that kind of thing. And I remember thinking, when we got the bases loaded, we started to rally there. If we can, if we score 3 or 4 runs, we might get right back in this thing. And sure enough, I was the guy up there, and they had Farnsworth, and he was throwing 150 miles an hour. And I thought, just stick your bat out there and hope something good happens. And fortunately, I hit that ball in the Crawford seats, and we were right back in the game.
Yeah.
And then, of course, most people forget that Brad Osmus hit that home run, mostly because, Brad almost never hit home runs. And Brad he's sort of he's half Jewish by heritage, but he's generally an agnostic. And we've had several discussions about, the existence of God and whatnot. And I told him, I said, now, Os, after you hit that home run, you can't tell me that there isn't a God, because that's the biggest miracle I've ever seen in my life. So that was an amazing deal. And then
not only did he hit a home run, he hit it to center.
He hit it over the 404 sign. He's never hit a ball like that in his life.
No.
Crushed it.
And anyway, the crazy part about that game is, so we tied it up in the 9th, and then in the 10th inning, I came back up and I hit a double. And that was the year that I was coming back from my ACL surgery, so I wasn't as mobile as I had been in the past. And they pinch ran Chris Burke for me, who's the guy that ended up hitting the home run in the 18th inning. So I got to take some credit for
blowing
getting Chris in the game.
Yeah, well,
because if Chris doesn't get in that game, we might still be playing.
And then you look out there as the game unfolds, and you see Clemens in the bullpen, and he's the only guy left, Roy.
I honestly thought Roger was going to hit the walk-off home run.
Yeah,
I really did.
The funny thing was, no one knows this, but Roger was actually in the clubhouse, in the batting cage, and thrown probably 100 pitches to his son during the game, and then went out to the bullpen and threw another 75 pitches.
That's right. And Andy Pettit was sick, and he came back in extra innings.
Right.
That was crazy. When the Rocket went into the bullpen, this place went absolutely ballistic.
Didn't it, though? And
the Rocket is an amazing human being, because he's the only guy I've ever met that he actually might be a superhero. Like, he did stuff all the time where you're just like, there's no way. This guy's not a real human being. He's like a comic book superhero.
And he'd call Adam Everett into the mound and say, move over a step to your left and get a ground ball right to him.
Unbelievable.
He would also come in and exhort the hitters to do something at the plate, including, he said, stick your chest out in front of one.
Oh,
he said,
nice.
and if you watch, but the thing about it, Roger, was if you watched him hit, that's what he looked like he was trying to do. He got it right on top of the plate and put that big barrel chest right out there in front. And I thought, with this guy, with the way he's going, this guy might hit the walk-off home run. And you talk about just immortality immediately.
Keuchel makes the play to first and gets it as the runner moves up, and it's out number 2. Well, Lance, here's one I wanted to ask you if you had heard about Roy. Roy told me the story one time when he was at Round Rock, and they sent somebody down from the front office and said, Roy, in order to get to the big leagues, you're going to have to throw more changeups. You're going to have to throw 20% changeups in every start. And I said, well, what did you do? And he said, the next start, I threw first 20 pitches with changeups. Can you see that happening?
No, absolutely. I mean, the guy is so bullheaded, that I totally can see that. He would just run that. He liked to run that fastball up there as much as possible, and it served him well for a good long time. And I'm not sure who that was that made that suggestion to throw 20% changeup.
I think it was Jerry Hunsinger told me that to order to pitch in the big leagues, I had to have a changeup. And at that time, I didn't have one, and I was still getting out. So I'm like, until they start hitting it, I'm gonna keep running that number 1 up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, there's no reason to go away from something that's.
And
working.
I actually didn't have a changeup until 2009, so I pitched 9 years in the big league without one.
Yeah. But then,
and the one you had wasn't all that
it
good.
wasn't that good either.
but now, when you got to the big leagues, you stayed with that philosophy. You just kept throwing those fastballs, right?
Yeah, you got 8 guys behind you. Use them. Or 7 guys behind you. Use them.
And a bullpen. If it doesn't work out, just get one of those guys in there.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, it's funny what they tell guys that are coming up, because I remember distinctly being told that, look, you're not going to be able to hit in the big leagues unless you pick broken bat to third.
Take it over.
Good play.
Marlon Gonzalez
is up with it.
We'll be back with Lance and Roy. We can't end this now. It's a 1-1 ball game in the second. Second inning, Lance Berkman, Roy Oswalt were honored in ceremonies before the game. Reed Ryan, Astros business president, signing them to the one-day contracts, and then the ceremony on the field. Albert Pujols with the applause, and of course the Astros all out, and Milo Hamilton emceeing. And you get the cowboy hats and the jerseys and the rocking chairs. What more does a guy need, Lance?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. If you have a good rocking chair and a good cowboy hat to keep the sun out of your eyes.
Can't go wrong.
At this point in my life, I don't need a whole lot of it.
Well, Brad Lidge looked like he was kind of into that mode as well. And the O's Bros and the Pumas are here, so a lot of great times are being remembered by everybody.
I was in the middle of a story, and I can't remember what it was when that guy hit a broken bat ball to the third baseman that kind of threw me off.
Well, we're going to have to.
Oh, it was. I know what it was.
Okay.
Go ahead. If you want to call this first pitch?
No, you go right ahead.
Okay, that's a strike on the outside corner. So when I first got called up, the hitting instructor told me, look, if you're going to hit at the big leagues, you've got to pick one side of the plate or the other. You either have to look for a ball middle in or look for a ball middle away. Mm-hmm. And so, on top of pretty well hit ball there.
Yeah.
On top of trying to acclimate yourself to all of the things, the third deck on the stadiums and the fans and being a part of a team with veteran guys, I'm up there trying to figure out when the ball's traveling in there at 90-plus miles an hour, is this ball middle in or is it middle away? And can I remember which side I was looking for? And so, there was a lot going on, and it was detrimental to my development. And I had always been a guy to say, hey, look, I'm looking for a ball right down the middle, and if it's there, I'm going to let it eat. And come to find out, they throw it right down the middle sometimes in the big league. And as soon as I figured that out, well, it went a lot better for me. So I feel your pain, being instructed to do something that you're not necessarily comfortable with.
Jay Ho's the batter. And he grounds to third. John McDonald. By the way, the earlier play on McDonald, when he didn't catch that liner, it was ruled an error.
Oh, that is not good scorekeeping.
No. But,
I don't even know if I can say that on television, but that ball was absolutely
scores.
A rocket.
See, now that you're up here, you can take on a whole different persona and talk to these guys and lobby with us to change what we do. And,
yeah, for sure. I'd love to talk to the official scorer.
And me personally, if I was pitching, it should be an error because it was hit right at him. But from this standpoint, maybe not.
The guy was lucky he didn't get killed.
Carlos Corcoran, the batter. There's one thing for sure. You get 3 or 4 guys in a room who play baseball, some pitchers, some hitters. You're not going to get a whole lot of agreement.
Yeah, but even Roy agrees with that one.
That was
deep down.
Even Roy, stubborn though he may have been. But you're mellowing out now, aren't you, Roy?
Yeah. Age.
Everyone does.
So let's talk about the game.
What do you think so far?
Well, I tell you what. I like what I've seen from some of our hitters. Obviously, got off to a good start against the Yankees. I think there's hope for Astro fans. I think this team's got a lot more talent than they've had in the past couple of years, and it'll be exciting to see when they start getting some of these ballyhooed prospects up.
Well, you got some of your former teammates. Chad Qualls is here. Matt Albers is here.
And that helps tremendously when you got some veteran guys to kind of set a standard, to set a tone, to demonstrate professionalism. And both of those guys, along with a guy like Scott Feldman, who's been around the block a few times. Those are guys that are really going to help this team improve because it's got to start on the mound. That's where they've got to get better, and I think they've done that with the offseason acquisitions.
Thanks, Lance. Thanks, Roy. Congratulations to you guys.
Brownie.
All right, guys.
Great careers.
Thanks, Brownie.
your photo using hashtag Astros fan photo for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming broadcast. It's the Astros fan photo brought to you by AT&T. Dallas Keuchel back on the mound for the Astros, making his first start of the season, but said he felt a little better knowing that the Angels was going to be the team that he would face, only because of his success last year, though. He said he was 2-0, or he was 2-0 against these guys last year, so he knows this lineup a little better. He did mention the pieces that they brought in would make it a little tougher, but he had time to really scout this team and felt good coming in to today. He also won the starting spot near the end of spring training and wasn't sure if he would be in the bullpen to start the year. Was thrilled about that idea, but he was more thrilled that his body was ready to be a starter at this point of the season, guys.
Thanks, Julia. He's in a 1-1 game, number 3 beginning with Colin Cowgill, the batter. 3 hits for the Angels, 1 for the Astros. And this one's the flare over first base. Carter watches Altuve slant over for it. LJ Hall's on the run. The right fielder with some range. The 1 pitch, 1 out, 3rd.
Ronnie, sounded like you guys had some fun.
Oh, you probably couldn't hear from.
I really couldn't.
Back where you were, but
back in the dungeon, I didn't have a set back there.
That was a good visit. 2 great guys. You know, not only have we had a lot of excellent players come through here in the last 10, 15 years, but just fun people to be around.
Good guys. I'm sure they agreed on everything, didn't they?
Not really. Mike Trout reached on that hit to the left side of second base, fielded by Jose Altuve. And that's strike 1. Last year, Dallas Keuchel's ground ball per fly ball ratio was 2.57 ground ball for every fly ball. And that was tops in the American League. 1 ball, 1 strike. He got the double play ball in the first with Trout aboard and Pujols batting. And he got a couple of ground outs in the second. He's had 5 ground outs so far in this game. 1-2. And that speaks very well for what the Astros would like to see, a lot of business for their infielders this season. And they have much more of a ground ball staff potentially than they did last year. It's 2-2.
Keuchel wants to work the inside edge on especially some of the big right-hand hitters on this club. He's trying to right there. Mike Trout gets the benefit of the coin toss.
Trout, a very charismatic figure. He has created a lot of fans. His outstanding play in his first 2 full seasons as a big leaguer. Skips rope on that one, and it's 3-2. And the Astros pitchers are really taking a very long and close look at Mike Trout to try to figure out what might work against him, but they're having to search long and hard. He's just an outstanding hitter.
Sometimes the honest answer is on the scouting report as to what to do with a certain hitter. I don't know. Mix it up and see if you can find a hole in the process.
That's a strikeout for Keuchel. Just a reminder as you enjoy a cold one to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
So what kind of hole did Dallas Keuchel find right here, and might it last for a while? Looked like maybe off speed. Mike Trout out in front, maybe guessing deep in the count right there that he might get a fastball.
Albert Pujols bounced into a double play his first time up. That one bounces to him for ball 1. Albert now 34. He signed that 10-year deal when he was 31, and he joined the Angels from the St. Louis Cardinals. 3-time most valuable player.
Well, he took one right there that I'll bet he'd like to have back.
Yeah. 1-1. And you pointed out last night he had some hittable pitches.
He did. He rolled over a couple.
Line drive out to right field. LJ Ho's lost it in the lights, it appears. And Pujols is headed for second base. LJ went down. He was tracking it off the bat, but then it was at about that height that can be a major problem for an outfielder.
It's usually that line drive, the semi-line drive, that seems to line up perfectly with the lights.
Ruled a double.
Yeah, you could see this coming right about this point. Whoa. getting out of the neighborhood.
Yeah, as you saw, sometimes an outfielder would try to get down and look below those lights so he can pick up the ball again. That's hit number 4 now for the Halos. And David Freese is the batter. He singled and came around to score on that double by Kendrick. Well, Lance certainly has the makings of a broadcaster. Roy is quieter. Always has been.
He's going to wait for the big moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to hear you say that. I didn't get to hear much of what was going on, but Lance has always had that charismatic, fun-loving kind of attitude. I think it plays so well on a major league team. I remember Jose Cruz is kind of that guy a long time ago. You'd have big pressure games and come to the ballpark wondering what was going to go on, what kind of speech might be given. And it would turn into a Jose Cruz dance or something like that in the clubhouse with everybody laughing, and you'd come out and have one of your best days.
Well, you've told that story about how that was the case before that extra playoff game at the end of the 1980 season between the Astros and Dodgers in L.A.
Game 163, and what a big one. Art Howe came through with a huge home run. Joe Niekro pitched to the victory.
There's a ball to Freese, and it's 2-0.
But in having to play that game, as we went on to Philadelphia, there was no off day at that point because of playing the game. We didn't have Niekro to pitch game 1 and set up the rotation that way. So it really changed everything.
And you know, Roy said, we didn't get into it because of our short time on the air a moment ago, but in the press conference that Roy and Lance had, they were talking about that game he pitched in St. Louis. And he talked about the game before that. When Lidge gave up the homer to Pujols, he said he was sitting there in the dugout with Andy Pettitte and Roger Clemens thinking over game 1 of the World Series for the White Sox, and then the Pujols home run snapped him back into reality, and he realized that that wasn't going to be his next start. So similar occurrences to the Niekro use in that playoff game before the series with the Phillies. Roy then was not available for game 1 of the World Series and didn't pitch until game 3.
And though the White Sox won that World Series 4-0, you never know how that turns if you change game 1 around.
Right.
But actually, when it all played out, the Albert Pujols home run to take the series back to St. Louis, I kind of like. It's one of those moments, as fans, none of us will ever forget. And the way Oswald and company were able to go on to St. Louis and win in that one of the 2 games remaining.
There's a walk to Freese, and that's number 2, Dallas Keuchel.
What was then game 6 of the series?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if Roy had pitched in game 1 of the World Series the way he pitched in game 6 of the NLCS, that would have been a nice start. Well, Porter hoping for an out on Hamilton here. Hamilton was caught looking in the second inning. Hamilton now, as a result of last night's game, hitting another homer, has a .703 slugging percentage for his career against the Astros. That's tops all time against Houston. .346 batting average, 15 homers, and 39 runs batted in for Hamilton against the Astros. It's 1-1.
That's where you want that slider to be. Trying to paint it down and away. It's a pitch that created fits for Josh Hamilton a year ago.
Boy, it did. He was bailing out against lefties last year.
He does look a bit bigger and stronger this year.
With a shift on, this is difficult. Villar trying an impossible play, safe at first. Quite an effort by Jonathan Villar, but now the bases are loaded. Pujols to third, Freese to second. Hamilton reaching, Hamilton getting the infield hit.
I would contend that played like that, not many shortstops can make it look like this. That really shows off the tools of Jonathan Villar. Look how far he has to go, and now throw with something on it without even taking more than that one step. This is a tremendous effort. Now, had Altuve been able to get to the bag quickly enough at second, that's where you might have had the best opportunity.
A lot of skill set on Jonathan Villar to make a play like that close. Now the bases are loaded.
Brownie, I was going to say, we didn't really see that from VR last year, so I think I'm seeing some hurdles jumped right over smoothly this year for VR.
I have to agree with you. Howie Kendrick had the RBI double to left center in the second. That's strike one to Kendrick. Kendrick's a .308 lifetime hitter against the Astros. Yeah, Bo Porter was saying, and we mentioned it last night on the broadcast, that he has seen a big difference in Jonathan Villar's game preparation this year. He's watching a lot of video beforehand and really doing a lot of advanced work before he takes the field for the game. In the dirt, good play by Corcoran, and it's 1-1.
Well, you hope to get those 1, 2, 3 innings and go sit down and get a breather. But the 2-out double by Pujols, ball in the light, sets up what now is a very tough inning for Dallas.
Fly ball. AT HOU's in for this one. And Keuchel does a nice job of escaping with no runs. 2 hits and 3 men left. It's 1-1.
Reminder, the Astros 14-game flex plan is still available. The flex plan puts you in charge. Looking for certain days of the week, all the giveaways, your favorite rivalries maybe, or maybe even a little of each. You can choose. To purchase your 14-game ticket plan, call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
Very good plan, giving you exactly that flexibility to make your way through the summer as a baseball fan on your terms, on the dates that fit your schedule. Well, you see the different Astros uniforms in the stands there. Orbit has been busy, as always. And Orbit was out along with Jason Castro this morning, Jose Altuve, and others in the Astros organization. Reed Ryan, Nolan Ryan, Jose Cruz. They were all out at the dedication of a brand new baseball field. A couple of them, youth baseball fields at the Denver Harbor Park, as a part of the Astros Foundation and Occidental Petroleum Corporation's efforts in the Community Leaders. Now Marwin Gonzalez, there are those community leaders doing a lot of good work in the community with something for the kids to do to occupy them in a very wholesome way. Marwin is 0 for 4, playing third base tonight. Fly ball out to left center field. Hamilton on the run, and he gets there. 1 out.
Well, Marwin Gonzalez swung the bat so well over the course of the spring, getting a couple of back-to-back games. I think it's crucial early on to insert all the players, get them going, and Marwin certainly tried to take advantage right here. But for the fine play by Josh Hamilton.
Hamilton's played all 3 outfield positions in his career. Jonathan Villar grounded back to the pitcher Skaggs in the first. It's a good point about Marwin playing third base tonight with the designated hitter for Matt Dominguez. Marwin's going to be one of those guys who plays a lot of positions for Bo Porter, so Bo is putting him in the mix and probably will move him around quite a bit, giving him starts at several different positions this year. Push bunt. Skaggs over, first base uncovered, and there's a throw to an unoccupied base by Albert Pujols, and that will allow VR to get to second. Boy, that's a bad play. I guess Pujols thought that Kendrick would be there, but there was nobody at first. He just turned around and flipped it.
Yeah, there's the conversation going on. For Albert Pujols, I understand what happens here. As you reach to grab the ball, and let's take a look and think of what maybe Pujols is thinking. I've got to make this play, and I'm going to turn and make the throw as quickly as possible, but that's when he finds out, probably at the moment the ball leaves the hand, that there's no Howie Kendrick there at the bag. I don't know if you anticipate that. The ball went right over the bag, so a good effort there. But when it's all said and done, certainly did not work out for the Halos.
It's a hit and an error on the VR bunt. And he created some havoc on the infield. Now he's at second with one out for Robbie Grossman, who flied to right earlier. Kendrick went to the bag on that pitch, and it was strike one.
I wonder if you talked to Mike Scioscia and asked him his opinion on that play. I have a feeling he might say, look, it was a do-or-die play. Albert didn't have time to look and see if anybody was there. He just assumed, and it didn't pan out.
Okay.
One spin.
Yeah. On to the shortstop. Ivar to his left. On to Pujols. 2 outs. VR to third. Well, in that case, the first baseman has to know where the second baseman was playing the hitter and whether he can get over there.
That's a very good point. And you see that bunt laid down. I don't know. I would probably assume that every infielder doesn't at every moment know where the guy to his side is. But guys are so good at adapting to given plays that a lot of times that player simply is going to be there for you.
One thing's for sure, Prince Albert is rooting hard for Skaggs to get this out on Altuve. Strike one. Giants beat the Dodgers today 7-2. Yasiel Puig returned to the lineup. But the Dodgers lost it to go 4-3. The Giants are 5-1. Madison Bumgarner the winner over Paul Maholm. It's in for a strike, and it's 0-2. So what do you make of this Yasiel Puig situation? Do you think that every time he's late now, he won't be starting a game?
Don Mattingly really downplayed that. I think they've had so many issues in such a short period of time, the Dodgers, that they're trying to figure out how best to make this work out.
John McDonald feels the high bouncer. Throws out Altuve. Pujols is off the hook. No runs, 1 hit, 1 error, 1 left, 1-1.
Astros are tied up at 1. We want to remind you to tune in, or log in, I guess I should say, to In-Game Live, Astros In-Game Live. Go to ingameastros.csnhouston.com. There you can vote on the player of the game. But we've got somebody out in the Crawford boxes, John Kelly, who's keeping up with this. John, what are some of the features of In-Game Live?
Well, it gives you tons of features. You look at Jose Altuve, was the last batter in the last inning. You can go to the hit zone. You can see exactly where he likes the pitch. Grounded out to third in that case, but you get matchups, you get pitch trackers, and then don't forget to vote for the player of the game. Julia?
That's right. ingameastros.csnhouston.com. Brownie.
Thanks, Julia. Routine grounder there to Jonathan VR, retiring Chris Iannetta. And it's 1 out for Dallas Keuchel here in the 4th inning, with Eric Ibar coming up next. Ibar just got the 900th hit of his career last night. And there's a full look at what is available to you there at that website. Ibar grounded back to Dallas Keuchel in the 2nd inning. And it's strike 1 as he shortens up on the bat. Rangers lead at Tampa Bay 3-1. They're in the last of the 3rd inning. Yunel Escobar with a homer for the Rays. The Astros will be meeting the Rangers on their next road trip. 1 ball, 1 strike. Twins beat the Indians today in Cleveland 7-3. 1,000 wins for Ron Gardenhire, Minnesota manager.
Hey, he's been around a while. And they had some successful teams in recent years. It's been a little on the lean side. There's the big swing. The bat goes around, and, well, it actually missed on the backswing, and then as it recoiled, it came back and got a piece of cork.
1-2 now to Ibar. And that one is a swing, and it looked like it hit him on the foot, but it's a swing and a strikeout.
Yeah, it's a dead ball at that point. You can swing and miss and the ball hits you. You are still recorded as the strikeout, assuming it's strike number 3.
And that's strikeout number 3 for Keuchel.
I don't know if the skip says way to get in front of the ball. I'm not sure that that works out that way.
Got him on the right knee.
As a catcher, your reaction is, where'd it go? What do I do? How do I take care of this play? But it's all taken care of, or should be, by the home plate umpire. Mike knows that rule pretty well.
Oh, yes. Carlos Corcoran catching again and buying some time for Jason Castro to recover from that foot injury. John McDonald grounded out to third earlier. There's ball 1 to him. You were talking last night about his wizardry with the glove.
You actually have to see it to believe it. I'm not sure at this stage of his career, which is right near the tail end, that he can still do those things. I would assume he probably can to some degree, but maybe 5-6 years ago, he put on a show for 2 seasons that I'm not sure it's ever been done before. I know there have been some great shortstops, greater than John McDonald, without question, for the overall career, but a couple of years that were just off the charts.
Made some magical plays in his career. 2 balls and a strike. This is his 16th season in the majors, and the Angels are his 8th different major league club.
Well, he has that value because of the glove, and that really is the bottom line.
It is. Boy, that's a close pitch, and it's 3-1. Eric Cooper is the home plate umpire. Blue Jays shut out the Yankees in Toronto 4-0. R.J. Dickey, the winner. Ground ball to third. Marwin Gonzalez takes care of the 3rd out, and in the middle of the 4th inning, it's tied at 1.
Bring the whole family out every Sunday home game at Minute Maid Park this season for Family Sundays, presented by Kroger with the Astros. Make sure to take advantage of special Kroger Family 4-packs for only $75 on select Sunday games. For tickets, 1-877-9-ASTROS or Astros.com.
Family Sunday coming up very soon in just a few hours. Astros batting now in the home fourth inning against the young lefty Tyler Skaggs. Skaggs allowed an unearned run in the first on an error by John McDonald. He's given up 2 hits in this game. It was Jesus Guzman who hit that hot line drive that McDonald couldn't hold. So Guzman in the lineup in left field tonight. He's a guy who can play the corner infield spots or corner outfield spots. Here's ball 1.
He's got some sting in the bat. There's no question there.
Well, we saw that. That's a strike, and that makes it 1-1.
Getting that cautious, I'm going to take some pitches mode, and sometimes you get pitches that you're just begging to see again, and it looked like that last one might have been one of those.
He looks at that one, and that makes it a 2-ball, 1-strike count. Sergio Santos got the save for R.A. Dickey's win as Toronto shut out the Yankees, beating Michael Pineda. And Melky Cabrera hit his second homer. Jose Bautista went deep for the 3rd time this year. Blue Jays now 3-3. The Yankees 2-3. Now back. The Astros will be headed for Toronto after the Monday afternoon encounter here with the Angels wraps up this homestand. Tomorrow it's Scott Feldman and Jared Weaver in a matchup of opening day starters. Game time 1:10 tomorrow. Pre-game show at 12:30, and Monday afternoon it's another 1:10 start for Jared Cozart and C.J. Wilson.
It was yesterday where Masahiro Tanaka got his debut for the Yankees against the Blue Jays. Pitched well. He wasn't unblemished, but he still hasn't lost a game in the last 2 seasons.
Astros now have used 4 different cleanup hitters in the first 5 games. Guzman being in that spot tonight. That's a strikeout looking. That's number 2. Julia?
Hey, Brownie, we go inside the game, brought to you by Comcast Business to revisit Chris Carter last night at the plate. He's looking to improve, reducing the strikeouts from 212 last season. And you can see right here, he's struggling, chasing the slider down and away, a problem area. But last night looking much better, a productive night for him. And you can see here in this, drawing a walk, taking that slider down and away there, and took another walk, or drawing another walk here, and later got a pitch to hit, smashing a double later in the game. Bo Porter really liking what he's seeing from Carter. He's starting to lay off some of those pitches outside of the zone.
Sure is. And then that double was a pitch he should have and did hit hard with a great swing on the 2-base hit for Carter last night. Good point, Julia. Ground ball in the hole. Diving. Here's McDonald, and McDonald is a wizard, all right. Taking care of out number 2.
He won't get quite the opportunities at third that he's able to take advantage of at shortstop, but take a look at the range and the abilities. Now, if it was a fast runner, as quickly as he gets up, I would contend that he might even release it just a bit quicker. He can do just about anything he needs defensively.
He gets to his feet so quickly after diving. Matt Dominguez lined out to right field in the 2nd inning. Strike 1 to Matt.
And yet, all that said, the Astros' lone run back in the 1st inning came on a RBI single by Guzman, a line drive off the glove of John McDonald.
They changed that to an error.
They changed that, okay.
At least the official score may not have changed it, but it went up on the scoreboard here initially as a hit. It was changed there. 1 ball, 1 strike. Julio Teheran is pitching for the Braves, and it's 2-2 Atlanta at Washington. Bottom of the 4th inning now. Steven Strasburg has had home run support from Adam LaRoche. 2 balls and a strike. That St. Louis Pittsburgh series matches the 2 teams who ran up against each other in the NLCS last year, so that'll be closely watched by fans of both of those clubs with big expectations for both here in 2014. It's 3-1 St. Louis in the fourth tonight. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Domingo reaching for a pitch just off the plate there. Joe Kelly's pitching for St. Louis against Francisco Liriano for the Pirates tonight. LJ Hose is on deck. Good crowd here on a Saturday night. That's 3-2 now. Well, last night the starter for the Angels, Garrett Richards, threw 100 pitches in 5 innings. They used 4 different relievers. They secure their first win of the year. Center field. Trout underneath it, just short of the track for the third out. After 4, 1-1.
Top of the 5th. In 2014, every Thursday home game is $1 Hot Dog Thursday, presented by HEB. Come to Minute Maid Park on Thursdays and scarf down all the dogs you can eat all game long. Visit Astros.com or call 1-877-9-ASTROS for more info. Guys.
Thanks, Julia. Julia, did you like Lance and Roy?
Oh, they were great. I enjoyed the press conference. I don't know if you had a chance to get in there, but Berkman was addressing everyone in the room, lots of media, but the team was in there too.
Yeah.
And he was pretty much just talking to the team at that point, but it was really cool, and you can just tell he's hilarious.
We were watching upstairs here on the monitor, but yeah. Packed house down there for that press conference, Julia?
It was. I really like that Bo Porter had all of his guys in there too.
That's a very classy gesture. Colin Cowgill 0 for 2. Well, Bo has done those things, and trying to do everything he can to let his players know that good times are coming. Try to associate them with the guys who help to create the good times in this organization, and let them know that better things are on the way.
I really liked Lance's effort with the fans to give as big a cheer as they could to make it sound like maybe 2005, other years as well, the great enthusiasm and noise that comes out of this ballpark. I've heard some of the guys talking about that no other place made the kind of noise that this ballpark did in those golden years, and that the golden years may be coming right back soon.
Carlos Corcoran is down. Head athletic trainer Nathan Lucero has come out.
You get the foul tip. That left knee is down. This one, I'm going to guess that caught the inner thigh, based on the ability at that point to get into a running mode. Because there are times when running is not going to happen.
Oh boy. The rigors of wearing the catching gear. Everybody in uniform very sympathetic when something like this happens, and they'll give him some extra time. Is Nate smiling? Frequently there's some great lines at a time like this when somebody's in extreme pain.
Yeah. It's a sympathetic bunch, your teammates. Well, I don't think he took the worst one he's ever had right there. But I don't imagine he's going to throw a party over it.
No. Just
Jason Castro has that look that says, better thee than me.
Yeah. Good night to be out of there. Cowgill back in with a 1-1 count. In for a strike.
Good changeup from Keuchel.
Keuchel felt this spring, even though he was getting good results, that he was putting too much pressure on his arm. He wanted to get his lower body into his delivery more, and he and Brent Strom designed a plan for that. With Dallas, he's got a good changeup. Ash, would you call that his #1 pitch?
I doubt that he would call it the #1 pitch. He would probably say fastball, but it's probably the #1 pitch that makes him able to throw at this level. At least from my assessment, he spots his fastball well most of the time. He's got a couple of breaking balls he spins in there. That changeup is kind of the equalizer. It keeps the hitters off balance.
In order to make that work, he has to have a decent fastball. Line drive left center field. That is a gapper. That's at least a double for Cowgill. And he's going to go around second and check in there as the throw comes into VR. First hit of the season for Cowgill.
Take note of that relay positioning, and we'll get to that in a moment. But first, here's a look at the pitch-by-pitch brought to you by Steel Dealers. And we're talking about a Mike Trout at bat in the 3rd inning. Dallas Keuchel starts him there at the knees with a fastball and then misses low. You're just trying to pick at edges as he finds the inside corner, tries to come back and misses. And then the slider, but the changeup, that great equalizer, picking up the strikeout against a guy who doesn't get fooled very often.
Those are the numbers for Dallas, and now he has a leadoff double here in the 5th inning. Mike Trout, the batter. Trout is 1 for 2, reached on an infield hit. Well, UConn has beaten Florida in one of the semifinal games for the NCAA championship.
That's why I didn't take Florida. That's why you took Anchorage.
Well, you kind of called that shot last night.
I hedged. I had no clue.
George Springer is going to be overjoyed that his UConn Huskies are playing for the title Monday night.
UConn appears to be back.
Trout fights it off, and it's no balls, 2 strikes to Mike. Cowgill had the leadoff double. That was hit number 6 for the Angels. And 3 of them have been for 2 bases. Brewers did a job on Red Sox starter Clay Buchholz tonight. He's given up 11 hits and 6 earned runs in 4 innings. Milwaukee leading at 6-5 at Boston.
Those are not Buchholz-like numbers. Not at all.
Mike Napoli, according to
really
our president, who was talking about him at the ceremony the other day. No, Mike Napoli hit his 2nd home run. Well, we can't expect him to know sports names.
He's got a lot going on.
I think he's a little more concerned about Crimea right now than Napoli. Carlos Gomez hit his 2nd home run.
And taking selfies with Big Papi.
Mark Reynolds hit #1 tonight for Milwaukee. Reynolds has really bounced around.
Well, he's not that glove that bounces around. He's that home run bat that strikes out more than anybody else in baseball that bounces around.
Yeah. Trout swings and misses, striking out. Well, that's 2 strikeouts of Trout by Keuchel. And number 4 for Dallas tonight.
80 pitches now for Dallas Keuchel, so He's probably nearing the end of the line. Again, he turns to that changeup, and again he gets the punch out. And Trout shaking his head as he walked away from the plate, doesn't have a response for that pitch.
Pujols doubled to right field in the third on that ball that got hung up in the lights. Strike one to him. He's 1 for 2 after grounding into a double play. And because of that ball going for a double, Keuchel, with that double coming by Pujols with 2 outs, had to throw 12 more pitches in the inning to get that third out. He walked Freese, and Hamilton got an infield. No balls, 2 strikes. Well, that could be a factor. Usually in this first start of the year, a pitcher will be pulled after roughly 100 pitches. That's not an ironclad rule, but many managers treat it that way. David Freese in the on-deck circle. Pujols takes one in the dirt. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
It's a lot of confidence that Dallas Keuchel and others on this staff put in the 2 catchers here. You get a couple of strikes, you're trying to dive that slider or change or whatever it may be in the dirt. Look at the stance of Albert Pujols. The rule basically says you need to be in the box. What the umpires will say is if you make contact in any way with the back line, you're in the box.
Pujols reaches for it, and he strikes out. That's number 5 for Keuchel.
And again, that pitch that you suggested might be his best pitch. I would say, for me watching him, that's his best pitch. But in converting it, I imagine most guys are going to say the fastball, but this is the pitch that sets it all up. That changeup.
Well, both times he said that down and away action to get both Trout and Pujols chasing the pitch. David Freese has singled and walked. But without a decent fastball, that pitch doesn't work very well, does it?
Well, you have to throw the fastball. Even if I think of a guy like a Randy Jones, who was low 80s and a 20-game winner for the Padres way back when. He would still have to throw that low 80s fastball to make the changeup have any effect.
And he could run a little slider on the hands of a right-handed batter to set up the changeup away.
You know, there was a guy, Mario Soto, and you saw him a lot in Cincinnati. Had the mid-90s fastball in his heyday, and he'd throw a changeup with it that looked identical with the arm speed, and it was just simply an impossibility at the plate.
And he was a 2-pitch pitcher.
2-pitch pitcher, exactly.
There's a line shot to left field, and that one will be a hit. Guzman unable to corral it. It kicks back toward the infield, and it's 2-1 Angels. Jesus Guzman coming in, caught it on the short hop, then it bounced away. Cowgill scoring on the RBI single by Freese.
And David Freese adds a lot to this lineup. And Guzman fortunate that he was able to get leather on this and flip it back toward the infield. Otherwise, this ball rattles around off the scoreboard, and certainly extra bases for the Halos.
Now Hamilton, the batter, the infield shifts, playing him to pull. Hamilton's 1 for 2. Corcoran goes out. 8 hits and 2 runs for the Angels. 87 pitches, as you see at the top of your screen, thrown by Dallas Keuchel. And there's some stirring in the Astros bullpen right now.
I think that's what this visit may be all about, Brownie, is just go on out, take some time while talking, walk it out to the mound.
Matt Albers is beginning to warm up. He's probably warming up in case Hamilton reaches, because Kendrick would be the next batter. Greg Bjornson out there, the bullpen coach. And now Bo Porter. So that was the tactic to give, or it's Brent Strom rather, to give some time to Albers. This is another one.
I'm not a big fan of this sort of thing. It's been done forever in baseball, killing time. You know, if you put me in charge, and I don't think it's going to happen in the next week or so, I probably would say if somebody goes to the mound, nobody else can follow. And the umpire finally comes out and says, come on, guys, let's play some baseball here.
Yeah, Eric Cooper.
Yeah. But Yeah, killing time so your guy in the bullpen can get loose. I think there might be better ways.
Who sang that country song? This killing time is killing me.
Wow.
Matt Albert's warming up.
You know, you are so up to the moment. I can't keep up with you most of the time.
That was about 10 years ago.
Well, okay.
Pretty good song. Fly ball to right field. A.T. HOU is running out of room. At the wall, he leaps, and that's a 2-run homer. Josh Hamilton hitting number 2 of the season, and the Angels have had a big 5th inning now. 4-1 Angels as Hamilton drives in a couple to give him 5 runs batted in.
Back-to-back nights, home runs for Josh Hamilton, and the Angels have to be delighted to see that. Last year was such a disappointment for the big guy with the bat, but he stays back on the left-hander and drives it out, and left-handers just destroyed him a year ago.
Career homer for Hamilton against the Astros. There's Kendrick looking at ball 1. Well, Hamilton returning to form here in the early days of 2014 compared to the off year he had in 2013. Ground ball goes to third, and Marlon Gonzalez over to first. And 3-run score on 3 hits. Angels lead the Astros 4-1.
Lead at 4-1 over the Astros. Follow the Astros with MLB.com @bat for your iPhone, iPad, Android, or BlackBerry 10. Get scores, stats, highlights, live audio, and a whole lot more. Text @bat to 31826 or visit Astros.com.
We've had another marriage proposal here at Minute Maid Park, our second of the first homestand of the year.
Apparently it can still come as a surprise.
Happy moment for them.
I didn't ruin this one, guys.
No, did you?
I stayed away.
Okay.
I saw it coming, though. I called it.
Really?
Oh, there's signs.
A.T. HOU takes ball 1. Well,
women always see the signs, Brownie.
Yeah, they do. Fortunately, Julia, we got a text. That famous song, country music, Killing Time, was recorded by Clint Black. Have you heard that one, Julia?
I have. That is not a recent song.
Not at all. 2 balls, no strikes. Ash was trying to act like a...
But I still think Brownie's very hip.
Okay, he is hip. You're right.
Not in that sense. No. In the dislocated sense, yes. 3 balls and no strikes. Carlos Corcoran on deck.
Who you got out there following you so closely that they're providing song titles to words of the song?
Actually, 2 different people texted on that.
Wow.
Yeah.
You are good.
We have a very well-educated group watching tonight. 3 balls and a strike as the Astros try to get back on the board with Skaggs being spotted with this 4-1 lead. The Angels about hit the Astros 8-2.
Yes, it is amazing what gets referred to as education these days.
That's a strike, and it's 3-2. Now, you could probably play that song on your guitar.
Well, I have a feeling the way I would play it, the killing time would not be the only thing killing folks.
Foul straight back. Good pitch to go for. AT HOU has already tied his home run total of last year with number 1.
A good hack he took right here.
It was. Yeah, he swung the bat with authority that time. He got number 1 out of the way. His first at bat of the season on a 1-1 pitch in the second inning. In the opener off CC Sabathia. That's a liner to left field. And a hit for AT HOU. That's number 3 for the Astros tonight. They've all been singles. The other 2 were infield hits.
Julia talked about LJ being one of, if not the most effective Astros hitter late last season. He's a good-looking swinger of the bat. I just get the feeling that given an extended opportunity, he could really seize it.
Well, he had a really good batting average last year. He's a contact hitter. Carlos Corcoran grounded out to the pitcher Skaggs, first time up. So in the right lineup, sure, he could play a lot. In the air near the right field line. That's headed for the seats. And out of play. Because, you know, a manager will configure his lineup card with a combination of contact hitters and power hitters. So, you know, baseball people sometimes get caught up in things that are maybe molds of the past, like a right fielder having to be a 25 home run hitter and 80 runs batted in. Well, not necessarily. What if you have a slugging first baseman and third baseman and your catcher's above average and so on down the line? Not necessarily. 1-1.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to plan teams that way. We're going to have power in the corners, whether it be the infield or outfield. We'll have speed up the middle, and a guy that's take charge behind the plate. It truly doesn't always work out that way, but sometimes you can be very successful without that mold.
79 Astros. Slow grounder. Howie Kendrick. Hose jumped over the ball and on to first base for out number 1. 79 Astros hit very few home runs.
Great pitching. A lot of leadership behind the plate.
Yeah.
Oh my. Well, that almost wound up hitting the heels of LJ.
It sure did. So he would have been out had it hit him. And now he's at second for Marwin Gonzalez. He'll get a fly ball to left. Well, let's see. Terry Poole was in the outfield. Jose Cruz, right?
Those two guys. Was Jeff Leonard? He might have been the right fielder on that club.
Jeff Leonard
fielder.
was on that club.
Yeah. Jeffrey Leonard.
Yeah.
What was that nickname for him? The flap something?
One flap down.
Yeah. Well, of course, we didn't get to size it up a whole lot in Houston. He didn't hit a whole lot of home runs, but he became a home run hitter in San Francisco. Craig Reynolds, a big part of that team.
Yes, he
Denny
was.
Walling.
Yeah. Well, Kenny Hand was a sports writer for the Houston Post back in those days. And he was telling a story last week or the week before about getting into a little flap with Jeffrey Leonard because Kenny wrote a synopsis of the first half of the season at the All-Star break, and Leonard had 1 home run. And Kenny wrote that Leonard had hit 1 more homer than a dead man. And that didn't go over very well.
That's referred to as creative writing, I think.
Yeah. Ground ball left side. McDonald slips. There's the play. Nope, no throw. And smartly, Ibar does not release it. He keeps Hose at second base. Gonzalez will get the infield hit.
Smartly, LJ Hose played this as a base runner, too. As he started toward third, he read it well. But it's really easy to get caught when you see the shortstop winding up for a big, long throw at that point. Watch Hose. He starts, and then, well, I better get back. Right there, really easy to take that one too many steps toward third base and get picked off. That was bluff all the way at short.
Yeah.
Hose's reaction, yeah, and a good read. It's that second one that's impressive. The first one everybody should do right.
That was a pretty good bluff by Ibar. 2 men on now, and Jonathan Villar's the batter. 4 hits for the Astros. First and second, 1 out. Villar has one of those hits, that bunt. That's ball 1.
How about those guys in the truck with a look at everything going on the field?
Yeah, they're covering it all. They have 12 cameras now. 12 cameras, Ash.
Well, it would appear at times that they've got double that figure. What was the total of cameras in the past?
Oh, we've had games of 4. Fly ball near the right field line, coming over. Cowgill into foul territory. It is a foul ball. He steams that throw in toward third. 2 outs.
Cowgill almost overran this ball, and he knows it right now. And because he made the catch, it's all good times. But watch him go past the line and now reach back. And this got possibly dangerously close to that line.
Good outfielder. Robbie Grossman's the batter. Robbie's 0 for 2. Robbie now has taken 19 consecutive first pitches to open the season.
Well, Robbie's also hitting 125. And it does feel a little bit like the first part of last year.
I would have taken that.
You'd have taken it out of the yard, I think.
No.
I heard you were a good breaking ball hitter.
Where'd you hear that?
Oh, scouting reports. They're everywhere these days.
There's probably a website for guys who could never even think about playing and how bad they were. Roller out to second base. Kendrick on to Pujols. And that's the 5th inning with no runs, 2 hits, 2 men stranded after 5, 4-1 Angels.
Create memories, save money, and have fun with Astros baseball. Treat your employees, host clients, or bring out your church or youth sports team. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com to enjoy special pricing and great benefits by reserving your group or suite today. Guys.
Thanks, Julia. 2 games left on the homestand after tonight for you to come out. tomorrow, a 1:10 start. Scott Feldman and Jared Weaver will do the pitching, and then Monday at 1:10 it's Jared Cozart and C.J. Wilson. Here's Matt Albers taking over for Dallas Keuchel. There's what he did Wednesday.
He's looked effective. He's going to be one of the guys in this back end of the bullpen, assuming he continues to throw the ball well, in that mid-90s range with the heater in his first outing. Big fella, sometimes being a big fella on the hill can help you with that velocity.
Well, what was really impressive was the slider down and in on left-handed batters.
Yes, it was.
Chris Iannetta is 0 for 1 with a walk. 7, 8, 9 hitters, 2 up in the 5th inning. Fastball's good for strike 1 for Matt Albers. Dallas Keuchel in 90 pitches went 5 innings, giving up 8 hits, 4 runs, walking 2 and fanning 5. Marlins and Padres have quite a pitching duo going. 2-0 Marlins after 6. Marwin Gonzalez. 1 down for Matt Albers. Very much a ground ball pitcher. That's Jose Fernandez for the Marlins with the shutout against Andrew Cashner.
Some guys that you view as utility infielders don't really have enough arm to play third base effectively. Not the case for Marwin Gonzalez.
Rick Ibar is grounded back to the pitcher, and he is struck out. Ball 1 to Ibar with McDonald on deck. Last night, Jerome Williams came out of the bullpen after Lucas Harrell went the first 3. Williams went 3 2/3, and Anthony Bass went 2 1/3. Diving Altuve, unable to prevent this single, threw into right field by Ibar. And John McDonald will be next. Hit number 9 for the Halos.
Quick bat, sharply hit on the ground and just out of the reach of Jose. About all you can do on those sharply hit balls is cross over and try to dive. Chris Carter getting that shot at playing with the leather tonight.
John McDonald, one of 10 current major leaguers who played at the Astrodome. That would mean during the 99 season or before. The others are Adrian Beltre, A.J. Burnett, Bartolo Colon, Ryan Dempster. Well, Ryan Dempster has retired, so we can cross him off that list. Alex Gonzalez, Paul Konerko, Jose Molina, Joe Nathan, and Jamie Wright. At least some think Ryan Dempster is retired.
Yeah. I was going to say, when I heard that he was shutting it down, it was kind of a for the time being anyway.
Right. He might be back in 2015. A lot of people were surprised that he would not play this year.
See the world and return as a major league ball player.
Yeah. There have been a few of those before.
Sure.
Guys get out of the game for a year and they miss it so much, and they still have something left to contribute physically that they come back.
The Yankees in town the other day. Andy Pettitte was chatting it up about how he found a year off to be very beneficial to his career.
Interesting. You think he'll try it again?
I don't see that coming. I think Andy has settled in. Seems to be very happy. It's got to be tough, though. Well, tough in a really good way when you got a major league team calling you saying, we want you to come back if you're able to do it. And you know the dollar figures are going to be impressive.
Yes. They're going. Line drive to right field. That's in for a hit. L.J. Ho's charging, firing toward third, and a 1 bounce throw, not in time. So it's 1st and 3rd on the McDonald hit with 1 out for Cowgill now.
This is a good throw in from L.J. Ho's. Because it's down, John McDonald can't turn first and just immediately take off. very cuttable in his eyes, even though it might have been offline just a little bit. Good jump at first base. There's the base hit, and now Hose lets it go, but he lets it go down. Now, the one thing you could say on the play is that Jonathan Villar never got into the real position to be the cutoff man, and that could foul up even a very good throw.
Now, Cole Calhoun is pinch hitting for Colin Cowgill to give the left-handed batter the percentages moving his way against Albers. Cowgill is a right-handed batter. And Calhoun has been the leadoff man for the Angels the first few games. He hit a homer last night going 1 for 5, a 2-run shot in the 7th inning. With ball 1. We were asking some of the Angels broadcasters about why J.B. Shuck did not make their club. Talked about it last night. You mentioned it. They had an oversupply of left-handed hitters, so he's at AAA, and Cowgill replaced him because he's a right-handed batter primarily. It's a tough blow for Shuck, who had a fine season last year for the Angels.
Yeah, that conversation when you send a guy like that down has to be really tough. What did I do wrong? Absolutely nothing.
Calhoun bounces one foul, and then of course Cole Calhoun came along the second half of last year and made an impact on the Angels, and that also cost J.B. Shuck a lot of playing time. So it wasn't totally the makeup on this roster. He could have beaten out Cole Calhoun to make the club. Calhoun's 26 from Buckeye, Arizona. Went to Arizona State, an 8th round pick in 2010. Had a good year at Salt Lake City, and then in 195 at bats as an Angel, hit .282 with 8 homers, 32 runs batted in. He swings at that one and strikes out. Out number 2 for Matt Albers.
There's that breaking ball down and in on the left-hand hitter, producing another strikeout for Matt. This is what he worked the other night. Bends that slider down under the knees, and left-hand hitters who, the book says they like it down and in, but that slider has a way with them.
Now Mike Trout is the batter with runners at the corners and 2 down. Taps it foul. There's strike 1.
Looked like that back foot of Mike Trout might have come out from under him just a little bit. Although he does have that up the middle, gap to right center, gap to left center kind of a stroke. And a lot of his home runs will go in that area. He can slam it anywhere. Although at 436 center field here at Minute Maid Park can be a bit of a challenge for anybody not named Richie Sexson. But even Richie found that foul pole, I mean the flagpole, to be just a bit too much to beat.
Sure did. What year was that?
I want to say that was year maybe 2 here in the ballpark.
He hit a ball way up on that flagpole, and it was only a triple because it stayed in play. If it hits up on that flagpole, which is in the field of play, and caroms over the fence, it's still a home run.
Yes. But Richie out on the field, you can see he was a bit perplexed. What do you mean? I hit that ball about 470, and you're telling me it's not a dinger?
He looked like he wanted to go out to center field and uproot that thing. One ball and 2 strikes. Trout last year saw more than 3,000 pitches in the season. That was tops in the American League. He had 716 plate appearances. That was July 1st, 2003. That triple by Richie Sexson. How did Boots find that? 2-2.
Sometimes making that perfect pitch on an edge or just off an edge can be much more difficult to get when you're facing a guy that has a great reputation. That pitch appeared to be away. That means throw that pitch again.
Little roller out to second. Altuve over. And Trout was hustling, but he was just out by a half step. It's no runs, 2 hits, 2 men left in the middle of the 6th inning. 4-1 Angels.
All your sports news covered. Check out Sportsnet Central every night at 6, 10, and midnight on Comcast Sportsnet.
They stay busy preparing those shows. 4-1, the Angels lead it, bottom of the 6th inning, and they're working hard on their next show coming up later on tonight. Altuve, Guzman, Carter, trying to give them something to prepare for. Cole Calhoun takes over in right field after pinch hitting for Colin Cowgill. Altuve got an infield hit to third base in the 1st inning. He stole second, then rode home on an error by McDonald. Jose's 1 for 2. Hitting coach John Maley really thrilled with the work of Jose Altuve. Here's ball 1. John Maley pointed out something that we hadn't noticed. Up on the big board, El Grande they call it, out in right center field. On the batter stats, the Astros put OPS. Jose Altuve's OPS is 967.
That's impressive. And John Maley, I assume, would like hitters to focus on that figure?
Yes, he would. Rather than batting average or some other stat.
And I would also assume that that means, you know, we're looking to see how many times you can get on base.
Yes.
As well as how you drive the baseball, and that's a tough juggle sometimes.
Yes, it is.
The good ones can do it.
Now Altuve, well, this is what John Maley was talking about. He's taken a walk, and that's his 4th walk, and he struck out once this year.
Well, that kind of ratio is way above the Altuve line coming into this season.
And so John is really thrilled with Jose's work. Because when you think about it, on a team, there are some players who would be considered run scorers, and Jose would certainly be that for the Astros. And then there are some who are primarily run producers, and then there are some who are both.
If you look back a year ago, 32 walks for Jose in 152 games, 672 plate appearances. So he's a guy who hasn't historically drawn walks.
That's right. Strike to Guzman. Jose has completely agreed with that approach. He is really intense about improving this year. Last year, as you mentioned, 32 walks. He had a .316 on base average for the season. .363 slugging. Off-speed breaking ball misses, and Kevin Jepson is getting loose in the bullpen. 70 pitches so far for Skaggs. Jepson pitched an inning last night. Ground ball third, backhanded. McDonald spinning, throwing to second. Kendrick relaying to first. That's a spectacular double play.
Wow. You shouldn't be able to turn that direction. Number one, really tough play on the glove. But to turn to your right as a right-handed throwing infielder and then throw back to second base, though it wasn't a perfect throw. Watch how difficult this is. Degree of difficulty kind of off the charts, and they get a double play on a ball that very easily could have been a double down the line.
Well, you talked about him earlier, and there's some of the creativity of John McDonald.
Insanely talented defensively.
Chris Carter's the batter. He's 0 for 2. And it's ball one from Skaggs. Skaggs 3-6 as a major league pitcher with a 5.43 ERA. He misses there. His leadoff walk to Altuve, by the way, here in the 6th inning was only the second one he's had in some 46 innings of major league work. But then he erased him very quickly. It's in for a strike, and it's 2-1. Mets got 4 in the 9th and beat Cincinnati 6-3. Ike Davis came off the bench, and he won that game. Pinch hit, walk-off grand slam.
Mets first baseman suddenly getting hot.
Yeah, they are, both of them. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and they're both left-handed hitters. Lucas Duda hit a couple of homers in his last game. Do we smell a trade brewing?
Yeah.
Struck him out. Double play and a strikeout in the 6th for Tyler Skaggs, and a 4-1 lead for the Angels.
Angels over the Astros, and it's time to introduce our progressive fan of the game. I'm with Jake, who is a junior at Second Baptist High School, but he's a pitcher for the baseball team. And for those who don't know, Lance Berkman is a volunteer assistant for that baseball team and brought you guys onto the field. I saw you down there to see the whole ceremony, front row and center. What was that like for you?
It was a pretty cool experience. I've never been on the field before, pregame like that, and it was just a really cool experience to be right next to the players, watching right beside them.
Well, we got to listen to Berkman a little earlier in the broadcast booth. Stand-up guy, really funny guy. What's he like in practice with y'all?
He throws a lot of jokes in there. I'm sure he acts just like when he played with all his teammates, and we treat him like a coach and like a friend. He's a really good coach overall.
How's the team doing?
We're doing really well. Yeah.
All right. Well, have a good season, good luck, and enjoy your time with Lance Berkman.
Thank you so much.
Ronnie.
All right, thanks, Julia. There's a ball to Albert Pujols, and Pujols has a 1-1 count. He doubled to right field, a ball that got up in the lights for LJ Hose. He's 1 for 3. 10 hits for the Halos, 4 for the Astros. 2 errors, both belonging to the Angels. There's a strike. 1 and 2. Well, Lance is Texas through and through, right? That cowboy hat looks good on him. Roy's a Mississippi guy. His hat looks good on him.
I think Lance could be a comedian too.
Oh, no doubt. Oh, that one hit him as he was swinging the bat, but he checked his swing. Now they appeal. No, he checked his swing on the call by Chris Guccione after the appeal at first base.
Albert's having some words, I think, with Matt Alberts.
Okay.
You'll see after Albert gets hit right here that he's going to turn toward the mound. He's not happy at this moment. And there's the glare, and he'll utter a few things.
Yeah, we've seen that before.
There comes a little bit more. I'm not sure Matt had anything to say. He may have already made his piece.
Pujols at first, hit by the pitch. David Freese, the batter.
That's really turning the wrong way for a hitter. If you turn the right way, you might get nicked a little bit, but could be part of what's going on for Albert, moving a little bit early.
Freese and Pujols, of course, teammates in St. Louis. And Lance Berkman was their teammate. There's ball 1. Freese has 2 hits, an RBI, and a walk tonight. Brian McTaggart is quite a country singer. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yes, he has entertained many folks at karaoke night. And he's one of those who tweeted about Clint Black. Fly ball to right field. LJ Hose in with the hit in front of him. He's got a force play at second, and on to Altuve. They force out Pujols.
And David Freese, who was looking for a 3rd hit on the night, is not pleased. That's tough. I mean, that's a tough one for a base runner too. What do you do? But you've got to use your instincts. And you know Albert's seen this many a time as a base runner, and yet he reads this one poorly. LJ Hose might have deked him by throwing that glove up, but that's a rather routine out at second. That ball right there, is it going to drop? Is it going to be caught? Yeah, you hate to get doubled up, no doubt about it, but you also hate to cost a teammate a hit.
Strike to Josh Hamilton.
Albert's going to take that peek. He might have lost sight of the baseball, and sometimes that can be the toughest thing to overcome.
Outfield assist for LJ Hose on the 9-4 play. So Freese bounces into a force out and does not get a hit. Hamilton has 2 hits, 1 a homer. There's strike 2 rather to Josh.
That seldom worked on 9-4 put out.
We've seen LJ though exercise his arm tonight, and it's a good one. 28,515 in attendance. Good Saturday night crowd. In the dirt, and that's a ball to make it 1 and 2. Yeah, that is a tough read for the base runner there on the line drive. And the right fielder can really freeze the base runner by putting that glove up in the air.
And again, if as the base runner you lose the baseball and then you see the outfielder coming in with his glove up, very easy to get deked. But with that ball right over the head of Pujols, it's easy to lose the baseball.
What do you recommend doing on that play?
You try your best. Watch Albert. He sees it go over his head, but as you turn like that, again, easy to lose the baseball, and it's all about instincts, really. But you have to see the ball to have the instincts kick in. How's that for a non-answer?
That's a pretty good non-answer. Rolled out into the shift. Altuve with the quick backhand flip. It's dropped at second, safe at second base. Marwin Gonzalez in the shift was over there as the third baseman to take that throw, but he didn't take the throw. He dropped it.
He was trying so hard to get rid of the ball quickly, get a double play, and get out of the frame. Altuve really set it up beautifully. That momentum heading to the bag set that up. Just unfortunate. Jose Altuve is playing very well.
Yeah. That was a very fine backhanded flip. It's ruled an error on the shortstop, or error on the third baseman. It'll be an E5. That's the problem with these shifts. We forget people are out of position. The third baseman was playing shortstop, so the announcement of E6 will be changed to E5. And Hamilton reaches on that play with Kendrick the batter now, first and second, one out. Kendrick with an RBI double in the second at 1 for 3. That's the first error of the year for the Astros. Kevin Chapman's warming up. This is their 5th game. That pace would be a welcome one compared to last year.
You could fool some people with this inning. Hit batter, fielder's choice, 1 out. How'd that happen?
On a base hit to right field. It wasn't a base hit to right field because there was a force play. 1-1. Strange, isn't it? Yeah, if you just watch box scores and don't ever watch games, you miss an awful lot in terms of how you have to interpret some of these outs.
Furthermore, the ratings are going to go way down.
Did you study box scores when you were a player?
Oh, well, not so much as a player, no. As a kid, before entering pro ball, I used to watch him religiously. And of course, you had your guys that you were going to pick out every morning. You wanted to see what they had done.
Were you playing fantasy ball?
We didn't kickstart that thing. When did fantasy ball start?
I'm not sure, but not when we were kids.
Who was the first guy you looked for in the box score every morning?
Mickey Mantle.
Was it?
How about you?
Yeah, it was rotisserie league, right?
Rotisserie, yes. And, remember that game, APBA baseball?
Sure, but we had Stratomatic, and I would like to say we trumped you on that one.
Oh, you did.
So you played APBA?
Yeah. It had the cards for all the players with different numbers, and then you would spin a little spinning wheel.
No, it didn't have the dice?
No, no dice.
I think they play those games now computer driven. You can play, I think, a game in a matter of minutes.
Nothing involving dice should have any credibility, right?
Well, that spinning device.
Nothing but trouble.
Yeah.
Swing, and Howie Kendrick did not do anything with that one except foul tip it for a strikeout. Number 2. Now, we used to have a little card we'd put over that spin wheel, and it would have various possibilities on the wheel for the hitter. And if there was a hitter like Ted Williams, it would be a huge part of the card. About 40% of it would be a base on balls. Chris Iannetta to the batter.
We tried to play out entire schedules in one league or the other and never quite got it done, but made a valiant effort.
Boots has found it online. APBA baseball.
Well, I want to see, is Stratomatic still alive?
Not sure about that. I think it is, yes. Iannetta looks at strike one. But anyway, we were all following it in various ways, and we'd follow those box scores because there weren't many games on TV. There was one game a week, Saturday afternoon game of the week. So
you mean that game that came from Fenway Park every week?
Yeah, pretty much. Either Fenway Park or Yankee Stadium.
Yankee Stadium, that's right.
We got to see a lot of the American League. Strike, 0-2. So at that point, remember, did you take the Sporting News when you were growing up?
I landed it quite often. I can't say I took it. I was not on somebody's route.
All right.
But
you were there to snag one here and there.
I would, yes.
And they would devote pages and pages of the Sporting News to box scores. Check swing call there by Guccione. It's 1-2. So if you had missed some box scores, maybe from a West Coast game, if you were on the East Coast, you could get all the box scores of all the games you had missed every week in the Sporting News.
Of course, the Sunday paper was always valuable because that was the one that would have the weekly stats in it.
Yeah, you'd have all the batting averages. And there'd be a long list of 400 names.
MLB.com didn't have that daily stat going at that time.
So we'd get out our magnifying glass every Sunday morning and look at all the things. And then you talk about, it's tough to look at just a list of names and stats.
Yep.
You really got to squint to figure anything out from that.
Those were good times, though.
They were very good times.
Being about that age right there. And
yeah.
Boy,
that age right there.
That valuable Sporting News in the Sunday paper and every sports page that came during the week.
We weren't talking about OPS then.
No, we didn't.
We didn't talk about WHIP.
Don't think we had a clue about any of those things.
Didn't talk about WAR.
How did they get through seasons without those stats?
No idea how they made it. BABIP was not part of the discussion. FIP.
You know, I to this day I have never used the term BABIP while speaking with my wife at home.
Really?
Never. You?
Not that often. Maybe once a month. Just to change it up a little bit.
Certainly not over breakfast.
2-2 pitch here with runners at first and second, and Albert's trying to end this in the seventh. And he gets a ground ball to shortstop. PR over to first. And that does it in the Angels' seventh with no runs, no hits, an error, and a couple of men left. It's 4-1 Angels.
Moment in history is brought to you by MD Anderson, making cancer history. April 5th, 1988, with a 6-3 opening day victory over the Padres, Houston wins its 2000th game in franchise history. The Astros score 5 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning, and love to see that happen tonight, making starter Mike Scott the winning pitcher.
We were there for that one.
I guess so.
Yes, they do. Love them boys. As the Astros come up in the bottom of the 7th inning, it'll be Dominguez, Hose, and Corcoran The Astros trailing 4-1. Well, here's another this date in Astros history from the Astros notes today. April 5th, 1971, Houston shows off the new orange and navy uniforms. In a 5-2 opening day win against Los Angeles, Larry Dierker earns the complete game victory. So those would have been the orange socks. Right?
What year did you say?
71.
71.
A little before the Ashby era began.
Oh. Those were good days with Larry Dierker on the hill.
Matt Dominguez has line to right and fly to center. Tyler Skaggs still in the game, but there's bullpen action. There's strike one. Michael Kahn is warming up, so it's bonus time here for Skaggs, and the lefty has handcuffed the Astros on 4 singles through 3. Only one of those hits has left the infield. Chad Paul's warming up for Houston. Bouncer goes foul, and it's 0-2. The Astros coming into this game had hit .211 in their first 4 ball games, scoring 12 runs, but they were 2-2. It's in tight to Matt. 1 ball, 2 strikes. No Dexter Fowler tonight for the Astros. He just sizzled right out of the gate. 3 straight multi-hit games before being sidelined with his stomach issue. Gastroenteritis.
Isn't that something? You get a guy smoking with the bat and all of a sudden he's sick. And it certainly has impacted this offense, you would think.
He was a big part of what they did in those first couple of wins with the extra base hits he got. Dominguez strikes out. That's number 4 for Tyler Skaggs. 81 pitches now for the lefty.
Cunning and guile.
Yeah.
Slow curveballs. Again, at the start of play, we said kind of a similar matchup in terms of the left-handers, Keuchel and Skaggs.
That's 1 unearned run. That was in the first inning on the error by McDonald. AT HOU singled to left in the 5th. He's 1 for 2. Now we'll have some hang time. Shortstop Ibar calling. 2 down. Now the Angels have to be awfully pleased with what Tyler Skaggs is doing for them in his first start in the rotation. Helping the bullpen now. Day game coming tomorrow. Carlos Corcoran's 0 for 2. Bounced out twice. UConn beat Florida 63-53. Ash.
10-point spread. And that probably upset some days in Las Vegas, I would imagine.
Yeah. It's ball 1. Alan Gonzalez on deck. Out to right field. Cole Calhoun to make it a 1-2-3 7th for Skaggs. We move to the 8th, and it's 4-1 Angels. Saturday night Houston comeback in the late innings. 28,515 have bought tickets. And they're watching pitcher number 3 warm up for the Astros. Chad Qualls coming out of the Houston bullpen. Matt Albers worked the 6th and 7th in those 2 innings. He allowed 2 hits and no runs. And had a couple of strikeouts and a hit batter.
Chad Qualls, one of those veteran arms now in the back end of the bullpen. You need those games where you've got the 4-1 lead and not the deficit as you bring these guys on. But you get the sense that the arms are still good and strong, and they're looking for that opportunity to help lead this club.
Well, Qualls, of course, had the night off last night with Williams and Bass the only relievers in that game, and the night before with Peacock working 3 1/3 in relief. So Chad's last effort was opening night. Gave up 3 hits and a run in 1 inning. And a manager, especially early in the season, will pay particular attention to those short relievers, so to speak, the guys who work an inning or an inning 2/3, something like that, who haven't pitched in 3-4 days. Trying to keep them sharp. Even though there is a day game coming tomorrow and he could be used in the late innings, the hope is that this would be a quick 8th inning. And it's Eric Ibar to lead it off. He's 1 for 3. Now we got a note on Ryan Dempster. We talked about that earlier, that he is inactive this year. He has not officially retired. So he's listed as active, but that's a technicality. He's not going to be active this year. There's a shot to right center field, and that's going to be extra bases. Ibar heads for second, and he'll want 3. He's racing around second base and easily into third with a leadoff triple here in the 8th inning.
Well, that looked easy.
Yes, it did.
Well, he's shown a very quick stroke tonight. Still hands and dropped the barrel very quickly. And no matter what you do, you are not going to prevent the 3-bagger. That was sniffed from the very first stride.
Good player, he and Howie Kendrick. Really a fine hitting up the middle duo. Now the infield comes in, and it's John McDonald batting. McDonald 1 for 3. That was hit number 11 for the Halos. He went for a high pitch, and there's strike 1. Roy Oswald, Lance Berkman joined us earlier talking about that 05 World Series. Chad Qualls a part of that team. Chad was a big contributor to those best Astros teams. You know, if you were to ask people who have seen all the seasons for the Astros, which was the best team in history, a lot of people would say the '98 team, which lost in the first round of the playoffs to San Diego, but that team won more regular season games than any other Houston team has, and had a dynamic lineup, and had Randy Johnson there for the last couple months. It was a fantastic team.
Because of that last reason, I thought that was the best built team for the postseason.
Right.
But Kevin Brown came along.
Yes, he did. And somehow Sterling Hitchcock struck out 16 in a game.
Wow. Pretty much like watching Skaggs strike out 16 in a game. That type of a pitcher.
Yeah. Swing and a miss by McDonald. He really played into Qualls' hand on that strikeout.
Great guests, hot topics, and no holds barred debate. Kevin Eschenfelder serves it up every single night on Sports Talk Live at 5 p.m. Only on Comcast Sportsnet. Monday's big guest is the new head coach of the Houston Cougars men's basketball team, Kelvin Sampson.
Yeah, that was a big lift on the U of H campus. Now Bo Porter out. Calhoun will be the batter, and then Trout is on deck. And the runner is at third with 1 down. So we're talking over this situation. What do you suppose the conversation might be, Ash?
Well, there's no way on earth they're talking about walking the one spot with Calhoun to face Mike Trout. So Yeah, this is intriguing. Maybe a question from the skip as to how do you feel best about the infield positioning themselves right here. If you can get the second out, keep the runner at third, then you've got a chance to pitch about as toughly as you want to Trout. Of course, then comes Albert Pujols and David Freese. They get tough.
Infielders in tight. And there's strike one. They might have been talking about where to play Marwin Gonzalez. He's over there close to the bag.
You could have the conversation about the possibility of the squeeze here, and maybe, like you say, keeping Marwin near the bag to cut down that lead, any kind of walking lead from third.
Seems to be doing that, kind of like a first baseman holding a runner. 1-1. Sometimes there'll be that bunt. It's not really a squeeze bunt because the runner isn't breaking on the pitch, but Calhoun, for instance, in this case, could bunt down the third base line, and then if you get the right base runner, and Ibar would be one, he can just follow that third baseman toward the plate, and then if the throw goes to first, he can break and score.
To your point, Bo Porter loved the safety squeeze last year for the club.
Yep. Ground ball that goes through into left field to make it 5-1 Angels. Calhoun with the RBI single. The Angels play add-on here in the 8th.
Every run obviously big, and you can see the Angels sense that. Tough pitch. That's just great hitting. That pitch was likely off the corner.
Third RBI for Calhoun.
Frustration, you think, well, that wasn't even a strike. It was almost one of those pitches where a guy only swings when there's a hit and run. Of course, that wasn't the case.
Mike Trout is 1 for 4 tonight. Strike one to him. Cut there, and it's no balls, 2 strikes to Mike Trout. Corpus Christi 1-1 in the 9th at Tulsa last night, with 2 in the 9th to defeat the Tulsa Drillers 2-1 on a 2-out RBI double by Gio Meyer. He kind of gets lost in the first-round draft pick shuffle. Runner going, the throw not in time. Stolen base by Cole Calhoun. It's his first of the year.
A lot of conversation going on. I don't know. I mean, you just can't feel comfortable about saying let's pitch around Mike Trout at any time when you've got Pujols, Freese, and Hamilton to follow in some order one way or the other. True. Hamilton against the right-hand pitchers will be batting in that cleanup spot. So, and he's swinging a big bat. It's a tough order to deal with. Should serve this guy well over the year.
Knock him out. 2 outs.
Won't see this very often. 3 strikeouts on the night for Mike Trout.
Now it's Albert Pujols. 1 for 3.
Throws it right on by.
Pujols steps up with David Freese on deck. Brewers 6, Red Sox 6. They're in the top of the 7th at Fenway. And strike one. Cardinals lead the Pirates in Pittsburgh 4-1 in the middle of the 8th inning. Pirates extending the contracts of their manager, Clint Hurdle, and the general manager as well. Will Huntington today. Yadier Molina hit his second home run.
I'd say, why did they wait till now?
Bouncer left side for VR. He gets Pujols. 1 run, 2 hits in the 8th inning for the Angels. They lead it 5-1.
This season with Friday night fireworks presented by Marathon Oil Corporation. Enjoy post-game fireworks after every Friday home game this season. Visit Astros.com or call 1-877-9-ASTROS for more info. Guys.
Thanks, Julia. Well, the next 2 nights, the next 2 days, rather, Sunday and Monday, the Astros will have starting pitchers take the mound with an ERA of 0 and a 1-0 record. Scott Feldman and Jared Cozart after those wins against the Yankees. And we'll check the schedule to see when the next Friday night will be. The next homestand will not involve a Friday night. It's only 3 games with Kansas City. So later on in the month, we'll get that opportunity for a Friday night firework type game. Skaggs still in the ball game. Joe Smith is warming up in the bullpen. And for the Astros, Josh Fields has been at work. 84 pitches for Tyler Skaggs, who was 3-1 in spring training with a 4.94 ERA. Marwin Gonzalez had an infield hit to short in the 5th. He's 1 for 2. Skaggs has held the Astros to 4 singles. 3 of those infield hits. And it's strike 1.
Changeup to start things here in the 8th inning and just kind of looped right through the heart of the plate.
The Angels may have made a very astute move in trading for Skaggs. That's a strike, and it's 0-2. Well, they dealt Mark Trumbull, Peter Borges, and others for Hector Santiago and Skaggs, plus David Freese coming in. Those were their big moves over the winter. That one bounces, and it's 1-2. The Marlins Rookie of the Year from last year, dialing it up again this season, Jose Fernandez has shut out San Diego for 6 2/3 tonight and has turned it over to the bullpen. It's 5-0 Miami, and they are now in the top of the 9th inning.
I think you can already call that right-hander, and he is a good-looking one for the Marlins, one of the outstanding pitchers in the game.
He is. And he's probably going to tone down some of his actions. His antics after hitting a home run, not well received last year. Ground ball to shortstop. Ibar. It's Gonzalez, 1 out.
That guy's a pretty solid player right there.
He really is.
Switch hitter, and not going to dazzle you a lot of the time, but he makes all the plays and gets on base.
Jonathan Villar is 1 for 3. He pushed a bunt between the pitcher and first base back in the 3rd inning.
Brownie, you mentioned the Astros with just 4 singles tonight. They start the night hitting just .211 as a club. So it's been a quiet start. You have to feel fortunate to have a couple of wins with that kind of an offense, but the 4 home runs early were crucial.
Yeah, they were. Strike to VR. Robbie Grossman's on deck. And they're foul, and it's 0-2.
A lot of emphasis on maybe taking first pitches. And when they have taken the first pitch this year, the Astros hitters, they're hitting 194 at the start of play tonight, and that hasn't been aided here this evening.
Still 0-2 to Jonathan Villar from the Dominican Republic.
But here's the other side of that coin. When they have taken the first pitch, they've drawn 16 walks in those at bats, and that's equated to a .324 on base percentage. So from that perspective, it's putting men on base still below what you would figure at the end of the year to be the league on base percentage.
Villar is called for swinging the bat, and he strikes out. He didn't think so. Number 5.
Let's see if this bat gets through the plate. Yeah, you get out there past that front of the plate and you're going to get rung up, or you should. It never feels like the bat goes that far, though. Feels like you did a great job holding the barrel back.
Eric Cooper called him for swinging. Robbie Grossman's 0 for 3. There's strike 1. Brad Ausmus and the Detroit Tigers are 4-0. They beat the Orioles 7-6.
Not sure Robbie has swung at a first pitch yet this season.
He has not. 0-2. It's 21 plate appearances for Robbie without swinging at a first pitch. Bouncing this one, and Pujols is there. Fair ball. He touches the base with his right hand for out number 3. We go to the 9th. 5-1 Angels.
It's not too late to log into ingameastros.csnhouston.com, where you can catch the stats there. Also, vote for player of the game. John Kelly has been out in the Crawford boxes keeping up with it. What you got, John?
Well, they might have gotten the loudest cheer of the night, but there were no votes for Roy Oswalt or Lance Berkman. Right now, the leader in the clubhouse is Jose Altuve at 39%. Followed by Robbie Grossman at 25% and Matt Dominguez at 14%. Make sure you listen to watch postgame live after the game, and they will tell you who the vote winner was tonight. Julia?
Thank you, John. Brownie, I'm going to send it up to you.
Thank you, Julia. We go to inning number 9, and the Angels lead it 5-1. Just checking the box score from that Detroit win over Baltimore. The loser was Bud Norris for the Orioles. His first start of the year. 5 innings, 9 hits, 5 runs for Bud. Rick Porcello got the win. Joe Nathan the save for the undefeated Tigers with a Torrey Hunter homer. His second of the year. Josh Fields is pitcher number 4 for Bo Porter's club tonight. It's 5-12-2 for the Angels, 1-4-1 for the Astros. Wednesday he got a save against the Yankees with 1 hitless inning. David Freese leads it off in the 9th. It's a breaking ball for ball 1. Freese has a pair of hits, an RBI, and 2 runs scored tonight to go with a walk. You think Ausmus will go undefeated this year?
He's got a chance. You got to give yourself a chance if you're going to do it.
Well, let's see. Was that 1984 when Sparky Anderson managed the Tigers that they got off to such a ridiculously good start? Something like, what was it, 35-5? It was, might not have been that.
Didn't they win their first 19?
That sounds about right.
I'm trying to recall what that club did. I think you might have nailed that number at that point on the season, and that was just a few years after the Tigers had the horrendous start to the year.
Good point.
That may be what it was. They went 0-19 to start a year, did they not?
I think that was the Alan Trammell year. And they lost about 115 or so.
That did not go well, and I don't think you can blame Alan Trammell for that taking place. It was a bad club, but boy, they reloaded quickly.
Boy, is that a difficult tailspin right out of the chute. Difficult at any time this season, but that just kills the whole season.
Yep.
Losing that many. Foul tip strikeout, and Freese is retired for out number 1 by Fields.
I think the night went downhill for David Freese when he hit the base hit. What would appear to be a base hit to right field in the 7th inning, and then turned into a force play with Pujols getting thrown out, moving into second. Had a couple of hits and a walk up till that point. Really turned the night around.
The Tigers started 1984 35-5.
35-5.
Boy,
that's a lead that would be hard to blow.
Josh Hamilton 2 for 4, ball 1.
What was their lead in the standings at that point?
Well, we can check. But you know, it's kind of a problem to be 35-5.
Really?
Well, it's 40 games. So it's 1/4 of the season.
I don't think the skip goes home worrying about getting fired.
Well, but you could only blow it. You're supposed to be in the World Series if you start 35-5, right?
How'd they fare that year?
I think they did very well. They won it all, didn't they? Diving play by Marwin, but that's going to be an infield hit for Hamilton, his 3rd. You're right.
Well, now look at the pitch-by-pitch brought to you by Steel Dealers. And we check out Howie Kendrick as he takes a leadoff slider from Matt Albers. That misses low a couple of times. But then pumps the fastball right in the good hitting zone, fouled off, and then a tough slider down and away. Albers gets him with what appeared to be an off-speed pitch. I don't know if that was a change or a little off of a fastball for a sinker. In any case, Kendrick striking out in the 7th inning.
Mats look good. Kendrick is 1 for 4, an RBI. Strike 1 at 96 for Josh Fields. And the Astros feel really good about their bullpen.
It's twice tonight Josh Hamilton has hit a ground ball to shortstop and gotten a base hit.
Yeah. Jesse Crane is due to head for Florida and some rehabbing Monday. And he'll go down with the extended spring training team and continue to build his arm strength, and then we'll need some minor league rehab assignments before joining the Astros. Okay, after 40 games, the 84 Tigers were 8.5 games in front.
That's all.
Yep.
Wow, somebody was playing well.
Not sure who, but they had Jack Morris, of course, Milt Wilcox, Von Berenger, Dan Petrie.
As opposed to Rob Petrie?
Yeah. Senor Smoke, Lopez, Aurelio Lopez.
Fun guy.
Teammate of yours.
part of that '86 championship squad here in Houston.
And Guillermo Willie Hernandez, he was the MVP.
Cy Young Award winner that year as well, right?
That's right. He was Cy Young Award. Ground ball hit. Past a diving Altuve into right field. Hamilton goes to third. Here's the throw offline. Now a throw into second, not in time. Hamilton takes third, and Kendrick on that throw moves into second base after his single to right field.
Well, a ground ball right to the second base position finds a hole as Kendrick just fights it off, shooting it that way. Looked like he was trying to do this. And I praised LJ Hose earlier in the ballgame for doing exactly what you should do, making a throw down where it appears that it can be cut off. Right here, as soon as it leaves the hand, you don't even need any thinking about it. You see it, and as that trail runner, you're gone, and he knows it.
Sure does. So the errant throw allows Kendrick to move into second base, takes away the possibility of that ground ball double play. It would have been first and third had that not been the case. So it's second and third, one out for Chris Iannetta. Iannetta is 0 for 3 with a walk.
Yeah.
35-5.
When you're playing really well as a club, you do not make the mistake we just saw.
True. That's ball one.
And it's the sort of mistake that doesn't show up in a box score. A lot of the folks at the ballpark don't even notice what happened. But yeah, it's a very costly mistake.
14 hits for the Angels, 4 for the Astros. Angels have left 10 men on base. Foul back. 1-1. Dino Ebel is the coach standing behind the others. Angels are only 3 for 14 with runners in scoring position. Kevin Jepson is throwing again alongside Joe Smith, who's just mostly watching.
I believe the Angels came into the series yesterday 1 for 19.
You're right. Both these clubs are really struggling in these situations. 2 balls and a strike. And a miss. Make it 2-2.
Now, if you've got that shift on, as the Astros do, 3 men on the left side and only Chris Carter on the right side, I wouldn't be pitching away. The first pitch to Iannetta looked to me like he might have been trying to shoot one to the right side, as we saw Kendrick do. But that last pitch in on the hands really thwarts any of those thoughts.
And a swing and a miss takes care of strikeout number 2.
And a pitcher who can strike out guys in situations where the defense might have had a lapse can turn things around very quickly. And that's what Josh Fields can do. That high fastball is tough to get to.
2 down, and now Ibar, who has a single and a triple, 2 for 4 tonight. Ibar very quietly a fine player at shortstop on this major league club. He does not get a lot of attention. He looks at that one up, and it's ball 1. Chad Qualls in 1 inning allowed 2 hits and 1 run, but no walks, 2 strikeouts.
Yeah, this is the kind of player that sports writers, when they size up a team and think that maybe they've got a chance, probably don't talk about with all the big names on the Angels club. But the manager notices what a guy like this does.
Yeah. No. Round Rock beat Oklahoma City tonight in Round Rock 7-4. Red Hawks will be on the road for their first 8 games before hitting the Bricktown ballpark. It's 3-0. Nick Tropiano was the loser. That was his AAA debut tonight. John Singleton hit his first homer. Carlos Perez also hit number 1. Max Stassi DH tonight. He drove in a run, and Perez did the catching. Foul back. 3 balls, 1 strike to Ibar. Lancaster Jethawks team is going to be one to watch.
And watch for big scores.
Yeah. With the collection of talent there. At third, it's Hamilton. At second, it's Kendrick. Chopped high to first base. Carter has it. Tossing to Fields in time to end the top of the 9th with no runs, 2 hits. 2 men left, 5-1 Angels.
Of the hometowners, Scott Feldman brings opening day momentum into his second start as he and the Stros take on the El Dorado East Regional Park Angels of La Habra tomorrow night.
That's tomorrow afternoon.
I blew that pregame lives at 12:30. The game is at 1, only on Comcast Sportsnet. Scott Feldman very good in that opener for the ball club, beating the New York Yankees. And he just stayed ahead. He got the early 6-0 lead, pitched like he had a 1-run ball game. Spotted pitches to Jeter and company. Soriano, they just had a tough time with him. Kelly Johnson grounds out. And Scott Feldman was just really good.
Extremely intelligent game plan, and he executed it. And he pointed over to George and Barbara Bush as he left the field.
I wonder if he got a scouting report from that duo.
He might have. They know the game. Now the bottom of the 9th inning with the Astros trailing 5-1 has brought a pitching change. Tyler Skaggs did very well for Mike Scioscia tonight. 8 innings of 4-hit 1-run baseball. Struck out 5 and he walked only 1, throwing 94 pitches. Joe Smith Wednesday in the no decision against the Mariners. 1 inning, that scoreless ball. Smith, the kind of guy with that delivery who can work often, and there's ball 1. Altuve is 1 for 2 with a walk. That's in for a strike, and that makes it 1-1. Corpus Christi is leading 7-2 at Tulsa in Texas League play in the late going. Smith in tight with that one, goes to 2-1 in the count. Joe's from Cincinnati, went to Wright State. Did not get any scholarship help. He was cut from the team as a freshman. And when he came back from his sophomore year, he had a new delivery, the one you're seeing now. 2-2.
So he and Michael Jordan do have something in common.
Last year he pitched for Cleveland and he had 25 holds and a 2.29 ERA. Fly ball out to right center field. Mike Trout is calling for it, and on the run he shags it. 1 out. Preston Tucker and Rene Garcia have hit homers tonight for the Corpus Christi Hooks. Luis Cruz, the starter, gave up 2 runs in 5 innings. Guzman reached on an error in the first inning. He is 0 for 3 in this one. Chris Carter on deck, and that's strike 1 for Joe Smith. He signed as a free agent back in November with the Angels. A 3-year deal for $15 million. Cuts it off. Turns it into out number 2. Comcast Sportsnet's presentation of Houston Astros baseball is brought to you by AT & T. Rethink possible.
Not a bad deal for a guy cut from the freshman team.
Boy, lucrative role of a late inning setup guy. And teams have been paying quite a bit more for players in that role the last few years.
I think there's become so much more awareness of the value of a bullpen for a good team.
No doubt. Chris Carter's 2 for 4 against Smith. He's looking at strike 1. He's 0 for 3 tonight. $14 hits for the Angels, 4 for the Astros. Look at that slider that comes in for a strike. And it's 0-2. Well, the Angels trying to finish off a second straight win in this 4-game series tonight. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
A little close to be taken.
And fouled away. Matt Dominguez is on deck. An early look at the AL West. The Seattle club has come out thundering. It'll be interesting to see if Justin Smoke can have the year of his life. He's had some big home runs early. And a strikeout ends it for Smith. The Angels win their second straight in this 4-game series. Final score is the Angels 5 and the Astros 1.